And there we go, we are live. Hopefully it is working. Hi, Merry Christmas and all that stuff. Is everything working? Let's have a quick sound check. Mic check 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hopefully it's working. I haven't got this set to low latency, so by the time I see your comments it may be somewhat late. But hopefully it's working okay. Seems to be over there. Got my silly hat on. I ain't got my hat on properly. Unbelievable. Here we go. Yep, not seeing anything in the chat so far. And the Archer says, hello, my dear. All is good, Mike, says Willie Bob. Excellent stuff. So what's that? That's almost like a 30-second delay or maybe more. I don't know. Hi, Mike. Everyone looks to be okay. Okie dokie. Let's see if the other camera works. It should do. I just had to do an update. Windows update. Oh, there. Oh, that's my thing. I wonder where I'll put that. Over there. Do you want anything on there? The music was louder than the stream. Let's see if we can adjust that. I think I might be at maximum capacity on the stream microphone. I think I am. Let me have a look on my microphone pack. See if there's any more juice. No, we are on level 6 already, it would appear. I think. Yes, we are on level 5. These microphones don't seem to give out a lot, so maybe I will try and give it a little bit more. Bear with me. Stream microphone, where we advanced properties. Stream mic, let's give it another 1 dB or 1.5 dB.
That's better, sign going up.
No, that's better. I haven't done it. I've only just done it. It's gone back up again. Hopefully it's all right.
Green sleeves.
Green sleeves? Could do with anything. Black shows up everything, including. Oh, I must have sneezed there. That's somewhat embarrassing. I know it is the cats. We can blame the cats for everything. I can see the chat now actually, which is quite handy. I'm not sure if you guys can see the screen. I can barely see it. Let me move that around. Yeah, that's all right. I can get it a bit closer actually. Can I get it a bit closer?
So delayed, you're only on wiping your suit.
Oh, there you go. Just like to see the corner of the screen so I can do that. There we go. Oh, Stuart Cleary says, oops, I realised my volume was turned down in Windows. Is the volume okay? Can we work with this? Is it all good? This is, for those of you that are joining us for the first time possibly, I'm Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. This is our live stream that we do every Saturday evening at approximately 8:15. I'm not entirely sure why it became 8:15.
Because you were late.
I think it's probably because I was always late, guaranteed to be a little bit late. And I think it started off when we started going shopping for our yellow sticker and orange sticker bargains locally in the village that we live in. And we would always go to try and fit it in about 6 o'clock. And we'd go there, get something to eat, in theory, if something was reduced, and then come back and eat it and then try and get the stream ready. And I was always kind of struggling to get to the 8 o'clock mark. So I thought, well, if I give myself 8:15, that should give me a little bit of leeway. Just in case there's nothing to eat and we have to order some food or make some food or whatever. Nothing worse than shoveling down some food and then having to start a live stream and just feeling pretty after. So increase it to 8:15. But there's no real reason for it that I can think of. Maybe we should start earlier. I don't know. We always end up finishing late anyway regardless. I just waffle on for hours and hours. So, Ugly Bob says lol approx 8:15. Now I should say before we get started, thank you so much for those who have sent super chats and or donations in already. Much appreciated. We've had £10 from Nick Barnes, is that right? And Joe. Thank you very much, Nick and Joe. Much appreciated. And Molly. Also, we've had some things sent through the post as well. So for all of you that have sent anything, awesome stuff. We've just had a super chat in from, I'm guessing that's going to be Bob, or was that you giving him some likes from earlier?
Yeah, earlier.
Excellent. So yeah, Bob did one just when we were slightly before the stream. So that was the disco festive disco.
Nick and Joe.
Nick and Joe. All right, this one's for Bob. That last one was for. Basically, if you send in a super chat, we acknowledge it, we read it out, and you get the RGB lighting. And I lose my ability to focus on the screen because it's blasting my eyes.
Because I've got to do it manually. We do it for all.
Because we're a technology channel, we've got to do it manually, because we used to do it via the beauty of IFTTT, but unfortunately the service that links with the YouTube Super Chats, they've now made a paid service, and for the point of that,
pay me nothing to do it.
yeah, it's cheaper to employ CAF to do it free than it is to pay for an IFTTT subscription. So there you go. That explains it. Yeah, so there was, let me see, we had, actually, I should say as well, thank you to MSI UK. Strangely, MSI UK sent us a hamper, Christmas hamper, so thank you very much to MSI. And thanks for all the things we've had over the past year to review and take a look at. That's been amazing. Also, we had a hamper from Colin Hilton. Massive thank you to Colin for that as well. Dave Aitken, just on his way down to, I'm not sure if it's his parents or Erin's parents. He's driving at the moment. So Dave, if you're listening to this while you're driving, which I think you might be, first of all, I should say, sorry, Erin, for having to subject you to this.
When I said that.
Yeah, but now I understand. Kath said, the first thing Kath said is, oh, poor Erin. I'm like, what do you mean, poor Erin? She's like, well, having to listen to you for a few hours in the car. It's like, well, she can always go to sleep. I would. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in over the year, and your super chats, your kind gifts. Kath's pointing at something.
You got another one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right, okay, another one, sorry.
Which is why the lights are getting.
Where's that? Jason Woods sent us in £2 and says, Merry Christmas. Thank you, Jason. Much appreciated that.
And Ugly Bob sent.
And Ugly Bob sent as well.
Present.
There was, oh yeah, Bob sent some presents. Some, I might have to go and get them.
That was See McKnight last week.
Oh yeah,
So
and
the
the mystery of the gift that we had last week, the cheeses from Snowdonia, that was actually See McKnight. So See McKnight is still alive and well. Glad to hear. Not active in the channel so much, or at all, basically, but maybe still watching the videos and possibly listening to the live stream. So if you are, thank you very much, See McKnight. And for those of you that were concerned or worried about Charles, he's okay. He's still alive. He's still with us. He's just doing his own thing. So yeah, no need to worry there. But just wanted to let you know that Charles is okay, or at least seems to be, and he's communicating. He sent Kath an email. So yeah, we're all good there. And again, thank you very much for the cheeses. There's another super chat come in. Oh my god, I can hardly keep up with this. What it's like to have an amazing community. So there's Andy Archer, £20 there. Thank you very much, Andy Archer. Andy says, Merry Christmas to Mike, Kath, and all the Mubs. I agree.
Is there another
Merry
one?
Christmas to all of you. And there's another one from Ugly Bob. Thank you kindly, sir. Twerking is what a Yorkshireman does to earn wages.
Going to twerk.
I'm off to twerk. Crazy Bob. Oh yeah, so thank you all of you. If I've missed anybody out, my apologies. It's very humbling, the kindness that is bestowed upon myself, Kath, the cats, and the kids. So yeah, thank you very much. There is, I'm sure there's something else I've forgotten to say. I can't think what it is now. And also, if we've sent anything out to you, to individuals out there, obviously, it's one of those things where we try to do what we can. We've sent out some beanies, hats, hoodies, etc. So if you've had one, yeah, it's just a small token of our appreciation. And ultimately, I'd love to be able to do it for every single viewer, anyone who tunes in and watches, those who have been around for a long time. We have to draw a line somewhere. So yeah, as much as we'd love to be able to do it for everyone, we can't. But what we do give you is, we give you content. I was going to say quality content, but that would probably be pushing things a little bit too far. Kath's got her hand up.
Ty Cobb says, hi Mike, been a loyal subscriber since day one. Merry Christmas from the Pearl of the Orient Seas. Talking of
Ty
loyal.
Cobb, that does sound very familiar. Ty Cobb, thank you very much for being a loyal subscriber. That is what, 7 years now? Merry Christmas from the Pearl of the Orient Seas. Where is that? Pearl of the Orient Seas. My geography is awful.
But you know where Kentucky is.
I know where Kentucky is now because someone did a cool meme of a cook with his hat on and with a frying pan, and Kentucky was there. So I kind of know where Kentucky is now. I've learnt a thing. my 40 plus years on this planet, and I now know where Kentucky is. I actually thought it was further south, to be honest. So I don't know. GameNext says, is Ryzen 5 5600 worth it in 2024? Or I go with Intel 13th gen. Please guide me. That is the age-old question. AM4 is a fantastic platform, but is now starting to come to somewhat of an end. It's probably going to be around, I would argue, for probably another 2 years as a mainstream thing. Intel probably about the same, maybe slightly more. There is also, we've had another PayPal donation come in. Thank you so much from Colin Hilton, £20. Much appreciated, sir. Thank you very much. And also, Colin's birthday is coming up very, very soon, towards the end of this month. So, Colin, you wouldn't think it, but he is actually going to be 80 years young. So, I think one of our eldest subscribers, possibly. Wow, 80 years young. You wouldn't think it if you met him. He looks younger than me. Bless his heart. So, happy birthday. I think it's the 28th or 29th? I'm not too sure. 30th, sorry. Kath's always correcting me. I always get these things wrong. So, the 30th is... Actually, I think... When will we live streaming next?
Might be then, mightn't it?
The 30th. When did you say his 30th, his birthday?
I'm pretty sure it's...
So next Saturday?
So next Saturday.
Yeah, so we'll be streaming. So we can celebrate Colin's birthday and have a live stream and celebrate the incoming new year as well. How's about that? Actually, no, is that... No, because that's 31st.
The Pearl of the Orient is the Philippines.
Ah, the Philippines.
Ah.
Very nice. So, anyway, not long for Mr. Hilton. Not as in life, but as in his birthday. David Under says, everybody looks younger than you, Mike. I know. That's a very sad fact of life. Another super chat coming from good friend and long-time subscriber and patron and generally all-round good egg from O'Reilly. £10 there. Says, thank you all and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It's gonna be a long one for us. Normally, depending where Christmas falls, obviously we do live streams on a Saturday. So Christmas is on Monday, for those that are not aware. If you're not aware, then yeah, you need to get your shit together and start doing your presents, because time is seriously running out. Tomorrow is basically it. If you haven't done it by today, really kind of you're in some severe shtuck. So yes, we've got the live stream tonight until whenever. Then I've got work tomorrow in the shop, 10 till 4, unfortunately, in Motor Parts, which is a local shop in Dinan, which I work in on a Sunday. Then come home, do all the YouTube stuff, go to bed, and hopefully in that time when I go to bed, Santa Claus will be visiting and doing his thing, spreading his magic around, and then we've got Christmas Day on Monday. Which no doubt will still be, well, I know for a fact I'll definitely be online in the Discord and also in the YouTube comments and also in the chat and answering any questions. I'm pretty much guaranteed there's going to be an increased uptick in support requests, people with their new PCs that will not fire up, will not power on. So yeah, I think it's going to be, yeah, I think it's going to be a busy one. It's going to be a busy one. I don't see, this now is silly season, and it's going to go all the way through till CES, and also the NVIDIA announcement the day before CES. I think this is the 7th. So yeah, we've got a crazy time now for basically, well, it's been a month at least, and then now we've got another couple of weeks. So we've had like the Black Friday sales, before that we had the November sales, and back to school before that. So yeah, it's all been a pretty crazy end of year. I'm looking forward to the summer and actually having some sunshine and things quieting down a bit and just chilling out a little bit. But it's yeah, it's been a good one. I will try and experience some relaxation. So to go back to your question earlier, which was with the Ryzen 5 3600. The Ryzen 5 3600 is still a great processor. If you can pick up a motherboard and you're not spending an outrageous amount of money on a decent B550 motherboard, or maybe even an X570, then yeah, I think it's still a very viable platform. And of course, you've got a lot of headroom there for upgrading. Generally, AMD processors tend to devalue much quicker than Intel ones, regardless of their generation. So if you hold on to the platform, you will find that processors will be available at a greatly reduced price. So when you find that your 5600 no longer cuts the mustard for you, then you should be able to plop in a 5800X 3D or whatever is available at that time and get a significant boost in performance. You've always got PCI Express Gen 4 built in there on the B550 platform and also with that processor. So yeah, I think it's a very good option, and certainly it's always a difficult thing to know. What processor, what motherboard, what case, the whole shooting match. And also it depends on what your needs are. If you are purely focused on gaming, then I think the 5600 is going to be a very viable processor for the foreseeable. It's going to be mostly you want to be spending money on your graphics card, possibly investing in that to start with. But it's a very tough choice these days. It's going to be down to local pricing as well. So hopefully that kind of somewhere answers your question. In fact, I still struggle with the whole equation now. So it's like, well, what motherboard do I go for? The thing is as well, if you're kind of potentially looking at future-proofing, then going with the AM4 platform, buying a slightly better motherboard, which in general is going to be cheaper than the Intel equivalent, is going to set you up for the future, because that way you're going to have things unlocked, you're going to have an unlocked processor. So if things do start getting a little bit slow and you want to overclock it or undervolt it or do whatever, it's going to be a lot easier to do with an AM4 platform. Whereas if you go for Intel 12th, 13th or 14th gen, you're going to be having realistically to buy into the Z platform boards to give you a little bit of flexibility for overclocking. And to be fair, there isn't a huge amount of headroom available unless you are quite dedicated and mess around with a lot of settings. For me personally nowadays, I like to just go with the kind of out-of-the-box experience. So buy a reasonable motherboard with a decent VRM setup, so at least the processor can unleash itself a little bit and do what it's intended to do. And generally it'll be faster than the stock settings anyway if you buy a reasonable board. I'm wittering on now. I will carry on. Sorry. I do get a bit involved with these things at times.
Somebody did ask something earlier.
That was, hopefully that's answered the question somewhat. It hasn't really answered it because you probably still no closer to knowing what the hell to do. Ultimately, it's going to come down to pricing, I think, personally, and depending where you are. And what is available.
You recommend for 7900X, Trent Shorter?
Trent is asking what AIO would I recommend for 7900X? Again, it's going to come down to what is available in your region. Now, I've had a lot of success with the Thermaltake ones, the Thermaltake TH360 V2, excellent cooler, often available at a decent price. And if you're in the UK, Scan, we're doing the version 1, which is still really good, to be honest, for a pretty decent price. Those, I think, were around about 50, 60 quid, which is excellent value for money. Alternatively, if you're maybe overseas or maybe in the UK and you can't find that deal, then the Thermalrite, I can't think what it is. There's a Thermalrite one. There's a 240 and a 360, both very good value for money, around about the sort of £50 mark. Definitely worth looking into those, I feel, currently. It's going to come down to what is available to you locally. Sometimes even just picking up a used bargain might also be an option. Who knows? Hello, Maisie. This is Maisie. She is one of our 6 cats that we've currently got here. Feels like a freaking cattery.
Oh, it's lush.
Kath loves it. I hate it. I'm going to have a lot of stress. I'm going to die young. I can tell. It's going to happen.
He's wishing it on himself.
Wishing it on myself again. Oh dear. Anyway, moving on.
that
There's a super chat.
light? Yeah.
Sorry, I got flashing light. I remember now. I knew Kath was stood there for a reason, not just to appreciate my good looks.
In the dark.
In the dark. Thanks for adding that before I did. Mick Woods has sent a super chat, says, thanks for all the content throughout the year, especially the Saturday night live streams. Have a great Christmas and may the channel grow to new heights in 2024. Thank you very much, Mick. Much appreciated. I would say, I'm probably sounding like an ass when I say this, but I don't actually want the channel to grow. It sounds like a really stupid thing to say, but I really like where it is now. And it's quite a nice...
Manageable.
it's manageable. We can get in, we can
give it
communicate
that
with
personal
people,
touch.
we can give it the personal touch, which I've always strived to do. And answering everyone's questions when you drop a comment on a video, it's extremely rare that we miss a comment. If it's coming as a fresh comment, very, very rare that we miss it, or at least acknowledge it with a heart or a like or whatever. And I think as the channel grows, I can already see in it becoming more of a, not so much of a chore, but more of a longer task to do. And also, as technology is becoming more and more complex, it means that the answers can't always be as simple as they used to be, which
Ugly Bob.
is where they were. What did Bob say?
Ugly Bob. The last comment.
It's like an unexpected boner. It's going to grow whether you want it to or not. Oh dear. Maisie, I'm not food. You didn't have to lick me. It's alright. It's good. Right, chill. Sit.
She got a clunk of fur on her back feet at all, do we know?
Can I have a look at your foot, please? Show me your foot. No, you're alright.
No, she's alright. She's got a split nail. She keeps getting clunks of fur stuck in it.
Aletta says Mike lives in a cat house. I do, unfortunately. Yes, it is a bit of a pain at times. Actually got to the point today where Kath had to take the kittens out in the garden for a little bit of fresh air, just so I could have the room to myself to record a video. Anyway.
We used to do it with Poppy though.
Yeah. Right, there's another question, or was I in the middle of asking one?
You were doing one about an AIO.
Oh yeah, the AIO. Yeah, I think the AIO again. Vitro, we've got some pretty reasonable ones available as well. I did notice. I think it's David Underhill posted that. Michael B says, I think it was almost 3 years ago. Watched a video and it helped me flash my BIOS. Before that, I tried everything, no luck. Then I subbed. Thank you for the sub. So Merry Christmas, everyone.
Actually, say.
Thank you.
How brilliant this is.
There's me thinking Kath was going to extract some pearls of wisdom there, but no. This is the, what's it called?
It's written on it.
Oh, I can't see that.
Furminator.
The Furminator. This is for cats. It's basically a cat comb.
You've got to unclick that top bit.
You unclick this bit, the blade protector, and it's for doing cats. So you just do the thing.
It's for their undercoat.
It's for the undercoat. Well, she's having a top coat today. That's you, that is. Don't lick it, 'cause this bloody blade is full.
It's not a blade.
Well, it's sharp.
It's combs.
I'm a bit scared to do it. Anyway, there you go.
But you get loads out.
It's got fluff on it. Thanks for that. Buy a Furminator from Amazon. Use our affiliate links. 69 people watching. There you go. So, Rick H says my i7 3770 is still going strong. A lot of the older generation stuff is still completely viable. It's a really difficult thing to do because on the YouTube channel, you're bombarded with this stuff of the new stuff which is coming out, and sometimes you lose focus about the older stuff, which is still really good. And in fact, Kath's computer over there, which she did have a big lump of fur come off then. Kath's computer is still running the good old Ryzen 7 2700. No, sorry, Ryzen 5 2600, which was donated by Welly Bob. The graphics card in Kath's computer is the GeForce GTX 1060 6GB, which was donated by William Bodie, and it's using my old GameMax F15 mesh case. It's got a Thermaltake Tower CPU cooler in there, which we've had for donkey's years. I think it was the Contact 12, I think it was called. So it's a really old platform, technically, and it still runs fine. She's got literally a million tabs open. I'm exaggerating slightly, so that's not a literal thing, but
Not far off.
there's got to be 100 tabs open on that computer, both in Chrome and Edge. Easy, 100 tabs. It's got 32 gigs of RAM in there, but it's still battling on. That system is going strong. She's been using that now for what? 4 years? 5 years?
When did Welly Bob send it?
When did Welly Bob send the processor? That would answer the question. It's a long time. It's got to be 3 years, I reckon, at least. So yeah, there's a lot of longevity in older systems, but it's going to come down to what you use your PC for. If, like me, you do a little bit of work and you do a little bit of gaming on it, that is where it's going to start costing you money, because you have to keep on investing in your graphics cards and processors, and minimum system requirements get higher and higher if you're playing those AAA title games. But if you're just using your PC as a device to maybe get on Discord, to answer your emails, to surf the internet, to watch Netflix, Amazon Prime videos, whatever, then an older PC can still be really, really good. So you don't necessarily have to spend a ton of money, but if you do spend more money, then you have more options open to you of what you can do. Dutch Jan says, my next platform will have to be AM5. I now have a 5800X. I am still in I'm in a very sort of odd position, and this comes into what the video was supposed to be about when I started, and that was the best and worst of 2023, which no doubt you've all got your favourite things and things which you've not been impressed by. And my list was minimal, I think, but it does cover some of the bases. But some of the items that I wanted to put on the list were weird because they actually straddled between the two. So there was a prime example being AM5, being that we're talking about AM5 there. Now, AM5 as a platform, on paper, is fantastic. And if you get the right combination of parts together and you pay the right money for your processor, it's actually a really nice platform. But if you get components which aren't entirely compatible or basically just don't want to work together, it can be very, very frustrating. So if you were to ask me towards the beginning of this year, what are your thoughts on AM5? I would be saying avoid it like the plague. It's horrendous. Most of you know I went through, I think, 3 MSI motherboards, at least 2, maybe 3 processors, various combinations of SSD, power supply, all those kinds of things. They changed on a pretty regular basis because I kept on finding instability in the platform. Whereas now, using the ASUS board that I've got in here, the ASUS B650 Tough Gaming Wi-Fi, it's been amazing. It's been genuinely absolutely great. And even swapping out processors, changing RAM, all that kind of stuff, it generally just works. Maybe I know a little bit more about the platform now than I did when I began. That is possibly something to be considered. DDR5, especially on AM5 platform, is particularly stubborn at times. You do have to make sure you enable your XMP or your Expo. You do need to make sure that memory timings are correct. You do need to enable context restore to get it to boot up in a sensible amount of time. And also you do have to enable the power down mode. So there's lots of little things you do need to do. And in fact, there is a video coming out which I recorded a couple of days ago on how to set up and configure DDR5 for both Intel platforms and for AMD, mostly concentrating on the AMD side of things. I'm almost tempted to release that video before Christmas Day, purely for the fact that I know I'm going to need to push people in that general direction to watch it, but yeah, it is what it is. That, I think, is one of those key things. If you can get the processors for the right price, if you pick up the right motherboard and it's all compatible and it works well, then AM5 is a really, really nice platform, and arguably slightly less expensive than the Intel equivalent. And as we've heard from, is it, can't think who the PR rep was from AMD that was interviewed, but they're basically saying that AM5 is guaranteed for support up until and including 2025, and potentially they would like to be able to stretch out longer if the platform allows it. So the next version, which AM6, might not be as soon as some of us have been thinking, which I am slightly dubious about. There are some aspects, especially on the MSI side for some reason, and especially on their early boards, the Tomahawk I had, the Gaming Edge, and also the Edge Wi-Fi, which is currently under the desk still. That was an absolute nightmare. So I am looking at revisiting those in the new year, doing a brand new build in that, and seeing if, building on what we've learned, also with the BIOS updates as well, and seeing if now with the BIOS updates, with the knowledge well, what's the word I'm looking for? I've basically got the knowledge now that I think I could probably make that motherboard work as it's intended to. Whether I can or not, I don't know. That'll be an interesting thing to see. But so far, the MSI B650M-P has been absolutely flawless. Possibly one of the easiest and most pleasurable experiences that I've had with an MSI motherboard on the AM5 platform. So maybe things are at a turning point with these new BIOSes and again with the lessons that have been learned. I have to say, AM5 is definitely on the shit list and also on the sweet as you like list, because I think it's a really good platform. Some of us, especially those on the Discord, Toj, myself, Dave Aitken as well, a couple of others, got some really good deals from AliExpress on the Ryzen AM5 processors. I've actually picked up another one very recently, the 7600, which I think I actually bought originally from Amazon when it first came out. I then returned it and got the 7700X, which I've then replaced with the 7700, which is now in there. So I've actually bought another 7600, which I will just grab up here, whilst trying not to drop all the other stuff on the floor. So I've actually, this is my commitment to AM5, so the brand new sealed box. This is the 7600. This I think is going to be the better version than the 7600X that I originally got. This being a allegedly 65 watt part, it's going to be a little bit easier to keep cool, and is still a good performer, and you're kind of looking performance levels somewhere in the region of the 5800X. So yeah, pretty decent. This I picked up for about £170. So the 5800X kind of is in that price point. So it sort of made sense to do it, and being that I had the motherboard, DDR5 RAM is still not as cheap as I'd like it to be, but it is heading in the right direction. In fact, there was a deal which was posted on our Discord just yesterday for some Crucial Pro RAM, which was 32 gigs of CL36 RAM. I think it's 5600 speed at £66. So for 32 gigs, that's cracking. You can't go wrong. That is basically DDR4 prices. So that's going to be coming in the new year. I'm going to slap it in with this, stick it in with my MSI motherboard, and hopefully get that platform up and running. That is the plan. Also, I should mention as well that I've just transferred my video editing machine, I did that last night, from the DDR4 platform now over to DDR5. So I took out my B760 Tomahawk Wi-Fi DDR4 and I've replaced that with the Z790 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi, which is a DDR5 board. And actually the transfer was pretty slick. I was a little bit concerned because the audio chipset is different, the Wi-Fi is different, the Ethernet is different, and it's a different chipset. So I was like, oh god, it's going to get really upset. But actually it was fine. I did have to install the Ethernet driver manually after the reboot. It didn't like finding it for some reason. Other than that, I had to reactivate my Windows, which is something which we should take note of, because if you do want to get a Windows license for your PC and you don't want to spend a fortune, then you can use this link, which I will put in the chat for you now, for premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's Unboxing. We get a very small kickback from every purchase because it's going to cost you less than a £5, and I think our commission rate is like single percentage. So we get, I think it's about 30p or something if you buy one. So we're never going to be retiring on this, and we're not doing it purely for making money, obviously, but they are what I can find to be the cheapest and most reliable keys that we have come across on the internet. You can get cheaper ones on eBay and stuff like that, but I've had mixed results with those, so we don't tend to recommend those very much. But having said that, this platform over here, my video editing PC, has gone through various changes over the last year. From an AMD system, basically started off, now it's been 2 different Intel platforms, actually technically 3, and every single time it has reactivated Windows. I've just had to go in, it says there's a problem with your activation, go in, do the activation wizard, and I even did it today and it reactivated Windows again. So for that initial outlay of like £4.25 or whatever it was when I bought it, that Windows license has been reactivated at least 4 times. So if you're planning on a Windows license, I would say definitely take a look. And if you're someone who watches a lot of YouTube videos, which potentially you are, because if you're into tech, there's a likelihood that we don't cover everything you want to know, so I would expect you to go to other places. But I would almost guarantee that regardless of what other channels you watch, premium CD keys are going to beat the prices of every other YouTuber that I know of. I have not found anyone who comes even close. Now, whether that's intentional because they want to make money, whether they just don't know about premiumcdkeys.com, I don't know. And to be honest with you, I don't really care too much, but hopefully you get some benefit out of it. Again, we are making such a small commission on there. It would be pointless for us to bullshit you.
Well, it's £5, I can
Yeah.
make a lot.
We're never going to make a lot of money on £5. Even if the £5 was going directly to us, it still wouldn't be worth it to destroy a channel's reputation for the sake of a cheap key. So yeah, definitely try those out. Dutch Jan says Bitwits are $20. I think a lot of them, now when we first got into YouTube, this is 6-7 years ago.
Well, we're talking premium CD keys, that's 2018.
Yeah. We were approached by a number of different companies to start pawning license keys. And there was one that kept on coming up. And from what I had heard from another YouTuber, which we were in contact with at the time, who had a lot more experience and knowledge of what was going on, basically it seems that most of the ones that you see on other YouTube channels, whether they're called something different or not, they all are parts of the same company. So the CD keys brand may be different, but they're all seemingly owned by the same parent company. So it doesn't really matter which one you go to, it's kind of a monopoly essentially, which is why all of the YouTuber prices are very similar in the sort of 10, 15, 20 pounds mark, depending on the commission rates, etc. So I'm not going to get bogged down by it. Let's not go there. Let's move on. So that's where I am with AM5. AM5 I think should be on the good list and it should be on the bad list. It's had a bumpy start. Hopefully it's not going to be too tormenting over the new year when people are building their new systems with their AM5 stuff. My biggest concern with AM5 and for Intel's LGA, as I've said many times before, and probably you've learned from your own experience as well, having LGA pins on a motherboard is an extremely bad thing to have. I would rather have pins on a processor, but having said that, I am someone who generally buys relatively cheap motherboards and relatively cheap processors. So if you're buying maybe something a little bit more expensive, like a 14900K, you've invested, what, 500, 600, 700 pounds in a processor, where your motherboard is probably going to be around about 200 pounds. So I totally see it from that point of view. If you damage your processor by dropping it and you bend a pin, catastrophe. You damage your motherboard, it's not as bad as it could have been. But for the majority of the market, who I feel that we are relating to, is the mid and low end. A few of us every now and then splurge and go for something high end to treat yourself, but the majority of viewers and the majority of stuff we keep reviewing on here is that mid-range stuff. So if you're buying maybe somewhere between 50 and 150 pound motherboard, your processor is generally going to be somewhere between the kind of 100 to maybe 200 pounds mark, at which point the tables are completely flipped. So actually no, the other way around. The processors are going to be cheaper, so like 50 to 100 pounds maybe 150. Motherboards maybe slightly more or the same. So it kind of doesn't make a difference. If you damage your processor, bummer. Straightening pins out on AM4 is very simple to do. Unless you've absolutely mangled it and kind of like the cats have played with it on the floor and turned it into some kind of crazy toy with like pins everywhere. If you just accidentally drop a processor, it's generally quite easy to straighten those pins out. But with modern motherboards, it's not an easy thing to do. And personally, even with a magnifying glass and a pin, I would not attempt to straighten pins on a motherboard myself, because I think I'd probably do more damage than good, because it's just hard to see. But unfortunately, I think LGA is going to be around for the long term. That is the way it is. Obviously, the people who make the processors, AMD and Intel, they are in a position where they don't want to be dealing with ARM-made processors because of bent pins, etc. They probably had more than enough of it. And also, physically fitting the amount of pins required for modern platforms, onto a CPU is becoming harder and harder, whereas a tiny little pad is a much easier thing to deal with in terms of design, manufacturing and distribution. So that puts the onus on the motherboard manufacturers with increasingly expensive RMAs on their motherboards. So motherboards are going to get more expensive. Mark my words, it's going to be a thing. They already are to some extent anyway. So yes, LGA is one thing I would say has been a growing concern over this year. Whereas AM4, God bless it, very reliable, very strong, very resilient. And if someone is building a PC for the first time, I would be more inclined for them to go down the AM4 route than I would AM5 or LGA, purely because of how easy it is to damage a motherboard. And also the differences in mounting pressure when using coolers, which is a definite thing. If you put too much pressure on a processor, you push it down too far, the pins move out of alignment, and your PC starts doing weird shit, which is never a good sign. Right, Jason says, time for bed for me. Good night all. Good night, Jason.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful Christmas and thank you again. Michael B says, I think Steam owns CD keys. Conspiracy theory. What, Steam owns what, premium CD keys? Or CD keys, one of the other brands? I'm pretty sure they don't own premium CD keys. Because I remember when the company first started, and I'm pretty sure they got nothing to do with Steam at all. It would be funny if they did, but no, they don't. They started out basically, as far as I could tell, it was just two people essentially working out of their garage or lounge or something. So proper like grassroots stuff. That's why we wanted to get involved with them, because it was a new young company which were basically offering like really good prices, and they had to do that to gain a foot place in the market. And they seem to be doing well. Well, as well as you can do on selling CD keys that cost a fiver. Even if they're getting them for like 2-3 quid, it's still, you're never going to retire on it. You wouldn't think so anyway. David Under says, if you think AM5 has lots of pads, try looking at the Epic CPUs. Well, they've got a lot more pads, but they are spread out over a much larger die area or surface area. So it's, I guess it's kind of similar, just there's more of them. Matthew Day says, the worst thing with pins is ripping the CPU out with the heatsink. That is, yeah, that definitely is a thing. I can't wait for the first person to actually rip out an LGA processor when removing their CPU cooler. That's going to be cool. I'm not sure how much force would even be required. I'm tempted, if I ever get a broken board on LGA socket with a processor, I might actually try and glue a heatsink to it to see how much force it actually takes before basically just rip the whole thing off. So I'm guessing you would. Viali says, I'm very happy with my X570 and 5800X, fast enough for anything. Definitely. 5800 is that kind of sweet spot, I think, personally. A little bit tricky to cool, so maybe the 5700X might be the better one in terms of hassle-free and not requiring an immense cooler. But yeah, I get exactly where you're coming from. And the 5800 was kind of almost the same as the 3900X. Both processors I got a very sweet spot for. Very happy with both of those. Oh, CD Keys is a United Arab Emirates software company.
There you go. Quick comb of Maisie.
Bloody hell. This was Maisie just being combed with that magical comb. That is the amount of fluff. Ho, 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 Santa here. Oh, there's some black stuff in there. I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, that's Poppy Dora's.
Yeah.
I gave her a stroke.
You a bit lighter now? You lighter?
She's still got fur. It's only the undercoat.
Bobby Sword, evening each. Merry Christmas to all, whether you celebrate it or not. Thank you very much. Alessa says, Thermal Grizzly for both and GPUs. Good paste. Ugly Bob's coming with a super chat, £10 super chat there. And it says, apparently, dance like no one is watching doesn't mean with your willy out. I would imagine Yeah, I would imagine that is probably not a thing.
In the supermarket.
Ugly Bob says waiting for Cap's dirty laugh. There you go. Thank you very much. William Bodie says, sounds like you have a gizmo in the back. Dave Venner says, premium CD keys is Canadian. There you go. You can always trust a Canadian. Nothing bad happens in Canada. Apart from maybe Trudeau. Political, maybe. Wiley says, my 5800X is at 35 to 38 degrees Celsius watching this. Awesome. That's idling, I'm guessing. Put it under some load and then you'll see it go up. I struggled with my 5800X until I learned the art of undervolting. Ugly Bob says, and that is why I cannot go to Aldi anymore. Oh dear. Right, other things that have been good and bad this year.
Mike's unboxing hat on it, with a big bobble.
Other things which have been good and both. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Andy Archer, given the trouble you have had with DDR5, I've had trepidation going that route, but so far I have a 14600K with another with 13600K and not one issue. Even memory training seemed to take no longer. Now that's actually, I was kind of coming to that point a little bit earlier when I was talking about my platform change. So changing over to my platform on Intel DDR4 to DDR5 yesterday, I was expecting all hell to break loose, and actually I struggled to find the memory context restore and memory power down settings on the new motherboard. So I thought, oh, in it to win it, let's just try it. And I actually started the PC up, and I've actually, wonder if I've still got it on my, yes I have. I have still got it on my watch. So from the moment of pressing the power button, oh, piss. Oh, now I've turned it off, hang on.
Oh, do you know what I've just realised? Maisie's got a mud-coloured collar.
So that was how many seconds it takes for my PC with the Intel platform from the moment I press the start button to Windows being on screen and usable. 32 seconds. So that is without doing any memory context restore or any stuff like that. So it is working very, very well. So AMD are the ones that are going to be more problematic with DDR5, which in a kind of weird way is going to be slightly better for us as a YouTube channel, because the majority of people that watch our content, or at least it seems that AMD has got a much wider reach in terms of actual user base, like enthusiast user base, than Intel. So Intel videos, you put them out and it's weird because Intel are dominating the market in terms of CPU sales in general. And it's a much bigger company, but Intel videos don't get a lot of interest, whereas AM4 and AM5 get much more views, much more engagement, all that kind of stuff. But I will say, the DDR5, now I have been somewhat spoiled because good friends of ours over at Lexar, maybe this won't fall over, they actually supplied us this kit of RAM to review and to do some testing with. And I thought, well, I'll just stick it in and see what it is. This is DDR5 32 gig kit, 6400 is the speed, and it's, I think it's CL, actually it says in the box, CL36, was it 32? It says on the sticks, not on the box, that's helpful, isn't it? Anyway, I'm sure it's CL36, so it's actually quite fast, considering it's 6400, it's decent. The latency is really good on it. And normally, if you put this into AMD system, it's probably going to get upset because it doesn't like running over 6,000 generally. So I put it in the Intel system and yeah, it just works. And it feels very snappy. I wouldn't say it feels much snappier than the DDR4 previously, but then the DDR4 was working at, I think that was running at 4,000 megahertz. So it was massively overclocked for the DDR4 spec anyway. So I guess that is to be expected, but anyway. RAM speeds is one of those things that just really confuses the crap out of me. But the thing is, that RAM I've put into 3 systems now, and every single one has just worked first time. So not only is it actually fast for what it is. It's also very cheap as well. So if you're looking for DDR5 RAM and you're going to be doing it in the near future, then definitely take a look at the Lexar RAM. That kit at the moment is £119 on amazon.co.uk. You cannot get DDR5 6400 at that price anywhere else. Even Corsair's Vengeance, LPX, that sort of stuff, you won't get it with the specs. And this has got Hynix A die, which is the new revision, which has got nicer, tighter timings and all that kind of stuff, and basically just works. So I would highly recommend getting yourself some Lexar Ares DDR5 RAM. I'm not saying that just because they've sent it to me. I'm saying it because the amount of problems I've had with DDR5 based systems and stuff, I would just do it. It saves you a lot of hassle in the long run. Sorry, there's one of our kittens is over on Kath's desk looking at Maisie on the computer screen.
You're going to go and say hello. Maisie, not on camera.
Freedom House 1984 says, okay, that checks out. Mine's 29 seconds. There we go. Cat time. This is a mouse. You're not allowed to play with that.
That's Otis.
Otis, what are you doing? Quick, turn it off.
Maisie.
Don't lick her bumhole. Oh, what's wrong with you, you mingers?
Now his face.
Kevin says, my new board, ASUS B650 board, takes forever to boot with DDR5. Is that related to having Expo turned on? It kind of is and it isn't. AMD's memory training is horrendous. So I'm not sure when you join the stream, but what you want to do, well, there's a video coming out how to do it anyway, but if you look on our channel, there's already a video on how to set up DDR5 or how to install RAM or remove bugs. I can't remember the exact link. I'll try and get Kath to find it in a minute and post it in the chat. But essentially, it shows you what you need to do, but you need to turn on Expo. You also need to make sure that the settings in your motherboard match what the Expo timings are on the actual RAM. And you also need to enable memory context restore and also enable memory power down. So if you do those things, you should find your system will boot up much, much quicker. This one here does it in about 30, 35, 40 seconds, thereabouts. So kind of normal-ish time for a Windows PC from the moment of pressing the button to it coming up. Previously, my other systems have been probably 2 minutes, maybe more. Boot times on also as well, potentially look at a BIOS update if you haven't updated it already. Lexar says, I haven't been inside a store since the human malware began. I'm 100% an online shopper now. I really do see the benefits of online shopping. It is extremely convenient. My biggest concern with online shopping, as with anything that becomes the kind of the mainstream or becomes the kind of the standard, is with online shopping, it will get to a point where
We have no choice.
if the internet goes down, what do you do? If you have no access to your bank account, what do you do? If there's restrictions placed on what you can buy, what do you do? I know a lot of that is kind of dystopian, conspiracy, tinfoil hat wearing stuff, but it happens in some areas of the world and it could happen here. You never know. So I would never rely 100% on online shopping, but I do, as a consumer, very much respect it when it comes to buying IT equipment, computers, processors, laptops, anything that I need to buy electrically. It's extremely rare. I mean, extremely rare that I would go to a physical retail shop to purchase it. Now, there's two reasons for that. One is because in the UK, we basically don't have good retail stores for that, or at least not ones which are available in a wide enough area so that you can actually go to them. Like for us, the nearest ones are probably Scan, which is 4 miles away, 4 hours away. There's basically not a great deal around. You've got eBuyer. Most of them are kind of Midlands or higher. So there's nothing really for us down here in the southwest. There might be. There used to be Novatech There used to be places like M Squared where I actually worked, which was a great shop, but computer shops have basically gone away. There is one local to us in Bristol, which is in a place called Keynsham, and that is Smart Computers, which is your typical high street computer shop, but I don't think their prices are particularly keen because they've got to support being in a shop and all the things that go along with that: staffing, electricity, bills, rates, etc. There's no way they can compete with the big box stores like Ceres here in the UK, or online stores such as Amazon. They just cannot compete. So mostly I would say 99% of all the stuff we buy comes from Amazon, eBay, stuff like that. But things which we can buy locally, such as food, groceries, household items, that sort of stuff, your post office, that sort of stuff, we use them whenever we possibly can for everything and anything, including like Christmas gifts and stuff like that. We'll buy it off the shelf rather than Amazon or something, but depends what is available. Is there a cat on my chair?
We have Davey awake now as well.
Hello, Dave. This is Dave. That's Maisie. Flames over there. Is that a shot? That is Dave. All right, Dave. You have a nice sleep, mate?
Oh, he got his fur all messed up in the drizzle today.
He went out in the rain today and got a bit messed up, didn't you, kid?
The state of his fur, bless him.
Look at him. He looks like Russell Brand has been backcombed. Bless his heart.
No, you haven't got a cat by you. There's one in the litter, one in that basket, and one with you.
Kevin says, I'm on the latest boss. I'll look at your video. Cool. Any problems, you can reach us on the Discord. Link for that will be in the chat now, so you can check out if you get any problems or anything. You're more than welcome to join. Bob says, the RAM in my system is now so old it started to fossilise. Oh dear, brilliant stuff. Bob says it. Oi! Leave the cables alone, Dave. Or you'll be going to the kitten factory in the sky. Bob says, yeah, Mike, your cat only has one eye.
He's had that operation.
Yeah, he's had the operation to have his tail moved up. Stuart Cleary says, online shopping, yeah, but the pickers give you the oldest stuff. Yeah. We have found that, especially during the human malware, you'd get some stuff delivered and it was like one day before it was out of date. It's like, come on, give me a break.
Could have got a yellow sticker on that.
Yeah. Trevor Mundell, how you doing, Trevor? Good to see you in the chat. Why do I recognise that name for something?
Trevor's been here before.
I know, but I seem to recognise it recently. We've also had another donation come in on PayPal from Gary. Gary, I can never pronounce this surname. Gary Sitaka. Yeah, I think that's all right. Sent us £15.07 after the translation. Bless you. He says, Merry Christmas. Thank you, Gary. You're a lovely, lovely man. Poppy. Shh.
She's talking to her babies.
She is talking to her babies. Bless her heart. Oh, I haven't turned that. Oh, there we go. Turn it back on. Where are we? Matthew Day says yellow sticky bargains. Yep, exactly. Trevor says, hi Mike and Kath, good day. I just built my A550-A Pro, but it failed to come and I just pressed the bio and the red light come on flashing. Still no power. Can you help please? Thanks, Trevor. I probably can, but possibly not here. Again, you might want to join our Discord. Okay, I'll put the link in the chat. If you go to the Discord, we can take a look and see what's going on and hopefully sort your problem out there. B550 is a relatively straightforward one to fix in most cases, as long as it's been built properly and you're doing everything right, everything's connected up. There's so many things you can try, such as disconnecting your case reset and power buttons in case they're shorted or broken. that can stop a PC from firing up. Many things, but we will endeavour to find out what is going on there, Trevor. So join us in our Discord, and we will try and help you out as best we can. Jinx Korma, how you doing? Oh, sorry, Jinx Coma. I'll get it wrong. I want to say Korma. Why would you have a Jinx on a Korma? Kormas are great.
Can't use the special comb on TV yet, I don't think, 'cause he might not have an undercoat. Don't be too harsh on him. Baby?
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, Jinx Coma says computer stores have gone the way of the dodo here in the UK. They really have. It's a very sad thing. There really should be, I don't know why, there must be some money in it. Like places like, is it Newegg in the USA? And what's the one that all the YouTubers keep on doing the videos for? Micro Center. Well done, Cal.
Yeah.
If they had a Micro Center here in the UK, I'm not too sure whether the fact is that because of how much it costs to import stuff here in the UK, that it reduces the ability to create margins on it to make it viable to have it in a store. Maybe that's what the problem is, and because in America the taxes are different and a lot of it is produced in the country as well. So maybe that is the reason why we don't have the computer stores here, which is a real shame. Anyway. Old Man Wither says, Trevor, did you make sure the BIOS file on the USB device has been named correctly? MSI BIOS flashback can be fussy. It certainly can be.
Did you stick in the Discord link?
Yes. Cool. Chris Hartford says, there's a little independent PC shop in my town. Don't know how they stay afloat these days. Well, you should try and support them as best you can if there is a little independent. It's a nice way of doing it. I think a lot of the smaller independent stores, they keep themselves going by basically doing repairs, because there isn't a lot of money to be made in actual parts. But where you do repairs, you can put in a labour charge. That is a good way of making a bit of extra money. Matthew Day says, computer fairs also died. I missed them. Yeah, we used to have the Bristol Computer Fair in the Whitchurch Sports Centre, which, yeah, I used to go there quite often because, again, it was one of those things which, if you wanted something brand spanking new, you could go to somewhere like PC World and you could pick it up, but generally it was quite expensive. And again, they're in a similar situation. They've got big units, overheads, etc., staff to pay for. Whereas you go to the computer fair, initially the draw for the computer fair was cheap CD-ROMs and hooky software. But then it got to the point where you'd also have people that were selling stuff which was actually like things that you'd buy on a more regular basis which you could get cheaper. So CD-ROM drives, floppy drives, hard disk drives, all those kinds of things generally were available as retail packages on...
But they're like water speakers or something, water flow speakers
Yeah.
at one point.
They were... Like a lot of stuff back in the day was only sold by computer wholesalers, like OEMs. So if you went to buy a hard disk drive or a CD-ROM drive, you'd go to a retail store and you'd get it in a retail package. At which point you'd get software with it, some flashy packaging, and you'd pay a premium for it. If you wanted to buy OEM stuff or unboxed or without the packaging, you could often get it cheaper, but there was very few places that sold it, especially that you could just walk into and buy without having some sort of trade account. So computer fairs were great because there would be just like tables and tables just full of trays of processors, boxes full of CD writers, all that kind of stuff. And you could pick stuff up and get some really good bargains. And they were really busy places. You'd go there on a Sunday afternoon when back in the kind of early to mid 90s, Sunday working wasn't so much of a thing. We were still, as a country, primarily doing kind of Monday to Friday work in general. So weekends were kind of like football and sports. Sunday was Sunday dinner and some shopping if you could. So it was a very busy thing to go to. Very cool. It was it's just a nice environment to get your tech fix and also save some money. It was always the fear that if you bought something, then the computer fair wouldn't be back in your local area for another month or so. So if you did buy anything and it was faulty, you'd have to wait until the month after to take it back to that vendor, assuming they were still there and still trading and hadn't been arrested by the police for selling counterfeit software. So it was always a bit of a weird place. You knew you were getting a bit of a bargain, but you also knew that there was potential problems that could happen. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. Was it Kevin? Yes. I think is it Kevin who said that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a nice Christmas. Mark Berry says, yeah, I miss computer fairs in the late 90s. They were good fun. They were really good fun. Andy Archer says, PC rolled his pants these days. It's gradually gotten worse. Poppy, what the hell are you doing? Right, Otis, come here. Sorry, I'm fishing for kittens. Right, come here. Which one's this?
Otis. Still.
Otis. This is Otis. He's a little pain in the backside, aren't you? You start purring? Don't get Maise's tail. She'll go mad on you. She'll kill you. She'll eat you. Otis. Say hello to the people. Say hello, people. Hello. My name's Otis. I'm a terrible burden on my poor granddad. That's me. Otis. Right. You going now? You don't want to go now? You gonna go sleep here? Here? It's nice and warm there, isn't it? Right. Go and have a lie down. Told you this is becoming a cat channel. Anyway. Moving on. So, highlights of the year. Let's talk about some of the highlights of the year. Or actually, some of the ones which deserve to be firmly entrenched in Otis! Leave the cables alone. HDMI cables don't grow on Amazon trucks. Kind of do. Intel Arc. I think that has got to be one of the things which has definitely got to be in both camps as the best and also the worst of 2023. So if you are an early adopter of the Intel Arc architecture and you bought an Intel Arc graphics card when they first came out, it wasn't a great experience, to be completely honest with you. And considering the prices then, considering the prices now, and the competition from the AMD cards such as the RX 6600, it still is one of those things where unless you have a specific niche case scenario, like you do video editing or you enjoy ray tracing, then it's actually really hard to still recommend one of the Intel Arc cards, especially the A750 8GB card. The A770 is really the one to go for with the 16 gigs of RAM if you can get it. Arc is definitely improving. We've seen some massive improvements through the spring, the summer, even into the autumn, and even as much as I think a couple of days ago there was another graphics card update. Intel, God bless them, and all those that sail in them, are actually... Oh yeah, please. Sorry, Kath's just signaled, do I want a drink? Yes, I do. Intel are doing a pretty decent job when it comes to drivers, and they are addressing a lot of problems.
Thank you.
Lucky Man says, highlight was Mike grating cheese on fans and air cases.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. That's true. That was good fun. Actually, why am I still wearing this thing? Oh, I've got all lines around my head now. The Intel Arcs are really good, and actually, you probably won't believe this, but it is actually true. In my video editing system over there, I am actually running the Intel Arc A750, the Asrock one, which we reviewed ages ago. And I have actually got down here somewhere. Where is it? There it is. I could, if I want to, put this in there, which is the RX 6800 16 gig card, which I specifically bought for my video editing PC. But I do find on the timeline when I'm doing my video editing, the Intel card is far superior, and it shouldn't be, but because of its being an Intel platform, using quick sync, all that kind of stuff, it just seems to work really well. So I'm a little concerned that I've spent 300 and something pounds on a graphics card which I'm effectively not using, although I am tempted to put it back in at some point, especially now over Christmas. If I get a chance to do a little bit of gaming, it would be nice, because when it comes to gaming, yes, the AMD and Nvidia cards do certainly have the upper hand in terms of frame rates in pretty much most games, unless you've got ray tracing turned on. So if you're playing things like CSGO, it's going to be Nvidia or AMD all the way. Arc are catching up and doing pretty well, but you do have to kind of have a little bit of a reality check. It is there. Arguably first generation of graphics cards, it isn't, because they had an A-class graphics card many moons ago, mid-90s, which failed miserably. So, but it's their first kind of go at it this time round. And I'm actually looking forward to Battle Mage, or Battle Image, or Battle Mage, whatever they call it. I'm looking forward to that, to see what they do, because there are some parts of it which are really good. The AI is good on it. The ray tracing is quite strong on it. It's just a shame it's not slightly more optimized, but it's a pretty decent attempt, I think, personally. Yeah, it's definitely in both camps, because it did offer spectacular value for money at some points during the year. But I feel they've kind of got to a point now where they've kind of peaked a little bit, and the prices don't seem to be falling as much as they should do in comparison with the AMD cards. Again, harking back to the RX 6600, which can still be picked up in the UK for around about £190, sometimes slightly less, whereas the A770 and A750 are still around about the sort of £200 mark, depending where you go. So that is a very much of a shame. I would also say Nvidia have got to be on the good and the bad list, unfortunately, because the 40 series, yes, we all universally hate them, but they have brought something to the table which is going to be more important for those in Europe and the UK in terms of efficiency. So yes, they may not be setting the world on fire in terms of raw performance, and they're definitely not setting the world on fire in terms of how much VRAM they actually have on board. But if you're somebody who runs your PC all day long, either gaming, video editing, or whatever, you can use a much higher powered video card in terms of performance for a lot less wattage with Nvidia cards. That is kind of where it is. And also, if you do work for a living making content, it's very hard to recommend anything other than an Nvidia card for content creation. It really is. As much as I would love to, the Intel Arc has been good, but the Nvidia cards will do significantly better. Yes, you're going to pay for that privilege, but ultimately, I guess that's the way that it normally pans out. Maisie, there you go. You can sit on there. How's that? You want to sit on it? No? Sorry, she's in front of the camera. Anyway. Viali says, Team Red all day. I kind of agree. I would love for AMD to come out fighting a little bit more and perhaps give something which would please content creators slightly more. That is something which I would like to see. It's a shame. I think it's mostly down to it's not Nvidia's performance, it's more Nvidia's grasp and power, because they have got a stranglehold on Adobe, and trying to get Adobe to fully support AMD graphics cards or even Intel graphics cards in hardware and have it optimized, it's just not happening. I'm almost 100% sure that Nvidia are blocking it, but I don't know. But it does seem that way. There's no logical reason why Adobe wouldn't support fully AMD graphics cards. Hell, they were in Macs for a long time, and we all know that Mac users generally like to use Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Premiere. So yes, it's a strange situation. So depending what, if you're just gaming, watching videos, and using your PC like a normal everyday person, AMD has much more going for it. Craig Lillis sent a message there. It says, hi at Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. How you doing, Craig? Craig's been a member for 27 months. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Patrick LaBelle says the Radeon 7000 series is a bit better at encoding than the 6000 series, but not worth the switch in my honest opinion. I have been looking at possibly a 7800 XT. That is something I would possibly consider, but again, it's the pricing of it. It's nuts where graphics card pricing has got to. It really has. Freedom House 974 says, I build gaming PCs and every computer I sell has an AMD GPU. Price to performance is just better. For gaming PCs, it is. Although I would argue it's actually harder to sell a gaming PC with an AMD graphics card in it than it would be from an Nvidia one, depending on who you're selling to. That would be the caveat there. I think if it's your hardcore Fortnite player, they're going to want an Nvidia card because Unreal Engine is just Nvidia optimized up the wazoo. We've had another it's PayPal, isn't it? Yeah. We had another PayPal come in from a good friend of the channel, Stuart Cleary. Thank you, Stuart. 25 British pounds. I can't see what it says because that's way too small. Hang on. Note from Stuart. Happy Crimbo. Happy Crimbo to you, Stuart, and all your family. Bless you. It's very kind of you. Much appreciated. Ordinary Dude says, DaVinci Resolve supports most GPUs well, but Arc cards do seem to provide very good creative performance at much lower prices. Yeah, the Arc cards do seem to do well. I really wish now I'd have got the 16 gig version rather than the 8 gig version. But as always, I think they wanted, I think it was like an extra £100 for the 16 gig version over the 8 gig version. Which, if you think about it now, in reality, actually probably isn't that bad. But for gaming purposes, it would make no sense whatsoever. But for video editing, it would be quite a game changer. Anyway. Roderick Kennedy's in the chat, says, hey all, hope all are well. Not too bad at all, not too bad. I'm actually thinking I might have a sticky chocolate pudding.
I don't think you will.
Why? Why not? Why can't I have one?
You can have one, but you have to boil it up in the saucepan, don't we? Now
I'll just have it raw.
Microwave away.
I'll just have it raw.
Just have it raw?
Yeah, I'm going to eat it raw. We've got rid of our microwave because we put an air fryer in its position, trying not to use microwaves. So there's some things now which are somewhat frustrating to cook, especially those chocolatey puddings. So I'm just going to have it raw as a little bit of a pick-me-up. It's Christmas, what the hell? Old Man Withers says, I like the RTX 4060 in my ITX build. Very cool, very low power use. Again, yeah, coming back to that.
Chuck it in the air fryer.
Does it say you can air fry it?
It says oven heat from chilled 16 minutes. Chuck it in there for 8.
4.
4.
5.
Or I got that, but you can eat raw.
Let's have those. I quite like the look of those.
These.
No, damn. Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah.
Dave Vanderdill says, AMD are cheaper in Australia. Yeah, I've noticed that a few times that people have said that AMD stuff is like really, really good value over in Australia. It's not so good here. It's kind of comparable to Nvidia. Kenny D says, that's why I'm sticking to the used market, even though the prices there aren't the best either. I must admit, I've been looking recently to see what is about and what is available, and some people are just absolute jokers. They really are. They think that because they paid an extortionate amount of money for a graphics card that it is still worth an extortionate amount of money, which clearly isn't. That's not how the market works. The market works based on supply and demand. So if there's a shortage in supply, demand goes up, prices go up. If it's the other way around and you're trying to sell to a market which is already relatively saturated or stagnant, then the buyer is more in control, unless the seller basically doesn't really want to sell it, but they're just thinking, well, it's sat here on a shelf, I'll just get rid of it. You always have to take into consider the current market value. I'm seeing it a lot more, especially on Facebook Marketplace. People are trying to sell like a stick of RAM or a set of RAM sticks for more than they cost brand new retail. And it's like, you clearly are not really aware of what the market is. You've just gone on like, right, how much do I pay for this? Oh, X. Let's put it on for that. Rather than actually doing a bit of research and seeing what something is actually worth. Anyway. Itchy ear hole.
Chocolate pudding coming up.
Incoming chocolate pudding.
I don't think there's much food left for you, Otis. Those gannets have ate it all.
Right, Trevor's still going through that. I'm not going to get involved in that on this stream. Viali says, I would love a 7800 XT, but my 6700 XT will do for now. I think, like the 6800 that I've got is the non-XT version, so it's actually really good in terms of power usage, which was a consideration. It was one of the things which I was looking at. I was thinking, well, I need a new graphics card. I need ideally something with 16 gigs of RAM. I cannot afford to go down the route of a 7800 XT. I don't see the value of a 7700 XT because it's a 12 gig card. So a little bit pointless. And it's just, the market is a really murky place. And I think that's one of the downsides of 2023 is the graphics card market has just continued to stagnate and get essentially worse. So we're paying way more now for the similar sort of tier levels that we've had previously. But the fact that we've got to the point where a 4080 is like £1,200 in the UK. Like £1,200. Now I know this is going to sound stupid, but only 20 years ago, which I said only, but even in more recent times, you could buy an entire PC setup, the tower, the monitor, a printer, a scanner, a keyboard, a mouse, even a set of freaking speakers and a mouse mat, and get change out of £1,000. Now, yes, I know there's inflation, but it's that kind of whole perceived value thing. It's like, how do you justify internally spending more than £800 or so on a graphics card? Like, even that, it's £800. I feel physically sick even just saying it. It's absolutely insane. I really don't... the world's gone mad. It really has. I blame it on the Large Hadron Collider. As soon as they did that in 2012, the world's been a really messed up place and everything's inverted. And I don't like it. I want to go back. Can we please make the world normal again? It just really blows my mind. Stop eating cables, Otis. He's running. Don't like clicky fingers. Lucky Man says get a 4070. I think a 4070 would be a more sensible solution. If, when they release the information at CES, well, the day before CES, so that's January the 7th, so we haven't got long to go, 2 weeks. January the 7th, no. Yeah, 2 weeks. Is that right? 2 weeks? Shit. Wow, that's terrible. Maisie shows how Mike to eat chocolate pudding. If they come out with the 2070 Super and it's the same price as the existing 4070 now, I'm going to be more inclined. I have been offered locally an RTX 3090 and also from our good friend at gpus.co.uk, similar sort of thing, a 3090, 24 gig or however many gigs it is, lunacy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think a 3090 is a good proposition in 2023, 2024. Power usage, the RAM, I guess, is a benefit, but the power usage, I think, is going to be something which the 3090 is about the same roughly as a kind of 4070 Ti stroke 4080. So if there's a 4070 Super, that is going to be basically an RTX 3090, give or take. Maybe it's a lower price. So I don't know. Mark Berry says, Mike, you're not the only one who would like to go back. I know, I think there's a lot of people. Freedom House says 4080s aren't even top tier either. I know. Like 2000, is it super hot?
I think so.
Molten plastic. Thank you.
You going straight for out the pot or do you want it tipped upside down on a plate?
I think I might need to tip that on a plate.
Such a...
She was going to call me a wanker then, I think. But you're not allowed to say wanker on the stream, so it's a good job she never. Dave Van Earl says the 4080 here is 1999 Australian rupees, which equates to 1168 GBP.
It's not very juicy, is it, looking? It must be inside. There's that hole in the top.
Maisie, Foxtrot Oscar.
You can't eat cooked food, Baba.
Lucky Man says 3090 is power hungry. Yes. And the 4090 is $3,000. Skystalker's in the house. How you doing, Sky? And good evening, Tina, if you're in the house also. And Kev2427. Kev says, if you had a £500 budget for a GPU, what would you choose? That is a tough one. I've been deliberating that myself internally for weeks stroke months. I think at this point in time, it's a really, really bad decision to buy a graphics card or even plan to buy a graphics card until the Super Series are announced on the 7th and the pricing comes out for that. I think making a decision now, unless potentially if you go with Amazon, I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it. If you go with Amazon, at least you've got a 30-day returns window. If you buy from Amazon and it's fulfilled by and it's sold by Amazon. In which case you could buy your 4070, your 7800 XT, keep it over the Christmas period, and then after CES, when the new processor, new GPUs are announced and we start seeing prices early into the month, you could return your Amazon purchase and buy the new graphics card, which is a terrible thing to do, but Amazon have made the rules. We're just using them to our advantage. That isn't illegal, and it isn't really unethical because it's there. It's a facility. You have the option to return stuff. So I don't know. Crypto KJ says I bought a 486 off of somebody in Dynan for 40 quid. Wasn't me. I would have sold it for a lot more. So yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. Skystalker says waiting for Intel Battlemage, methinks. I think that is probably a reasonable shout. I'm going to see what this pudding's like. It looks hot and it looks sticky and it's possibly going to give me... Oh, I don't know what's happened there. Is it actually cooked on the inside?
I don't think it is actually, but it's alright.
No, it's freezing. Those air fryers are shite. I'm not keen on them. You probably guessed from that. What's the deal with air... Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm going to enjoy this.
Oh, poor Maisie.
Man, that's the stickiest shit ever. It's literally like glue. Christopher Ackerman says, I have a 6600. Got it's fine for at the min for gaming. Yeah, this RX 6600 was a great card. It really is. Freedom House says Amazon would do it to us. He would. I freaked out. I literally freaked out. Hopefully our daughter's not watching. I don't think she will be. But we bought our daughter a TV for Christmas. And it was originally, I think about 300 and something pound. Poppy's in the window now. And it's reduced down to 239, I think it was. And I looked on UK Hot Deals, and they had the same TV, which was reduced to £228, I think it was. So I noticed the deal. I clicked on it, had a look on Amazon, and it said, you've already purchased this, view invoice. And I thought, well, I'll check the invoice, see how much I actually paid for it. And I clicked on invoice, and it was like £350. I'm like, what? I paid £350 for the bloody telly, and it's now 228. What the hell? So it's like, right, when did I buy it? It's less than 30 days. Excellent. It's within the returns window. So I opened up a support tab, like chat to an online person, and I was ready and waiting to say, like, literally, can you do anything on here, even if it's just in vouchers? Give me the difference in vouchers and I'll keep it. Otherwise, I'm sending it back and I'll just order another one. Because 130 quid, come on, why would you not? And then I realised, I looked closer, as the chat was progressing, I was waiting for whoever it was to join the chat. I looked at it closely and I actually ordered 3 or 4 things at the same time on the same invoice. So it was a TV and some other Christmas presents, which made it up to £350. So I actually only paid £239. So it was like £10 difference. So I typed in the chat, my apologies, I just looked at the invoice. There's only £10 difference, don't worry about it, have a great day. Maisie, stop it with the butt sniffing and get off my keyboard, damn you. Right, go away. Go away. Go away. Sky says $3,000 for a gaming GPU is crazy. It is. Look at this. This is like crazy.
Crazy. That's a bit more than sniffing.
Nick Barnes' question, is the aim of all this development so we can burn energy playing at 4K at 140 FPS when it is enough as most say 180 and 1440 better resolution for gaming? That is, yeah, the whole move to 4K is one which is fraught with disappointment. Now I have a 4K monitor. It's only a 60 Hz one. That is what I do my video editing in because it's YouTube and people expect 4K. Whether they should or not, I don't know. But, you're right, Bob, it is. Doing anything in 4K is stressful on the system that you're doing it in. Everything gets worse. But something I am noticing is...
Air fryers are rubbish.
1080p Ultra or 1080p High looks good, plays well. 1440p Ultra, Medium or High, all very good, can generally play very well. When you go up to 4K, because 4K is basically 4 times 1080p, it actually is, you can reduce the settings massively in your game settings to get a good picture, nice image quality, but without it actually killing off the graphics card in order to do so. And a lot of games, especially things like CS2, actually runs very nicely and perceivably is no different. And with things like FSR, which you can enable, kind of gets rid of some of that jagged edges as well, and makes it that much easier. So I've been playing this week, just very lightly, CSGO 2 or CS2, playing at 4K, medium or low settings. Medium and low doesn't seem to make much difference. So I can play that at 4K with FSR on, still only using about 6 or 7 gigs of RAM on my video card. So it doesn't run into that buffer situation where then it starts making the game horrible because it's having to swap out RAM all the time. And it's a great experience. So that is something I would suggest to everybody. If you're playing a game, if you've got a 4K monitor, just turn the visuals down. It actually doesn't make a great deal of difference. And you will find that it isn't such a burden on your system. Like my GPU is running about 60 degrees under gaming. It's not at 100% GPU utilization. It still looks great. It's running at 4K and I've capped it at like 120 FPS, which is perfect for a 60 Hz monitor because you're getting 2 frames drawn for every one that's visible. So that's an exact like doubling. So you could either do 180 frames, 240 frames. It's like multiples of 60 to get a non-blurry image or not get like weird lines and stuff. So that kind of works out really well if you want to go down the cheap route for 4K. But I think ultimately it's down to that. Don't necessarily think that you have to have your settings cranked up, or if for some reason you don't have your settings at ultra or high, that you're maybe losing out, because generally you're probably not, especially with more modern games. Like Fortnite looks great even at low. It really does. The way they've optimized their game, it runs really well. So, yeah, that's my thought on it. Rick H says 60 Hz kills my eyes. Aletta says to Rick 60 Hz. See, almost every monitor in here at the moment, CAFS is a 75 Hz. This one here is an old Acer monitor. I think it's an Acer H. Still says in the top corner. H274HL, which I'm sure is 60 Hz. My 4K screen there, 60 Hz. My 4K screen over there, 60 Hz. And I don't mind it at all. And if in fact, I find these monitors are absolutely fine. My 165 Hz curved display is in the loft because it actually destroys my eyes and makes my eyes. If I go outside and walk down the road, after using the curved monitor quite closely, I find that my vision is a bit weird.
And keep pushing into the road.
And I push Kath into the road. I'm not going to blame that on my eyes. There you go. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Sorry, just reading Stuart's thing there. Yeah, about the Northridge fix, got 20 plus 4090 GPUs into fix, but he returned them as unfixable because they were cracked on the board due to no support of the weight. Graphics cards have just got so big. Like the 4080 and 4090, or even the 4070 Ti, the MSI one we reviewed ages ago, it's just ridiculous, it's so big. It doesn't need to be that big, surely. I do like those new slim models that MSI have done. There's a 4070 Slim that they've come out with, and it's a dual width card, and it literally is dual width as well. Very, very tempting. Lucky Man says Modern Warfare 3 1440p Ultra, no problems at all, capped at 150 FPS. Rick H says 60 Hz is fine for me, I don't have the money for better hardware. I'm like, because we do YouTube as a business, basically, like it's our income, we could buy expensive stuff and it's tax deductible. So we could have better stuff if we wanted to, but I generally don't see the need for it. I really, really don't. Yes, it's a nice to have, but the thing is, with nice to haves, you get to a point where you get a nice to have, then you want another nicer to have, and where do you stop? It becomes like a vendetta against your wallet. So I'm with you there, Rick. William says, hi Rick H. I did go from AMD to Intel because of the high power use, and NVIDIA always. Only on my WinX PPC use AMD GPU with a max TDP of 15 watts. Oh, awesome. Yeah, because William's in Germany. Hopefully you won't mind me saying that. And from what I can gather, from what we hear, the German energy prices are absolutely horrendous. Even more extreme than what we have here in the UK. And we think we're having a bad time of it. But I think Germany is considerably worse. It's a good job I'm doing this in a live stream because this would be history by now. I'm taking my time.
I don't like judging at you. You haven't got it all around your mouth like you usually do.
I'm not wearing half of that.
Quite well for you. Usually it's change your clothes, isn't it, after eating?
I should actually have a look on my my stream notes to see what else I thought was good and bad. Actually, let's hand it over to you for a bit. What are your favourite things of this year tech that have come out? Let me know. I'm thinking the more you think about it, the harder it is to actually justify something this year which has been like genuinely good. I would say actually, two things which I've really enjoyed this year, which I'm pretty sure was this year, is the Thermaltake Ceres 500 and the 300. Those were both really good. I was going to put the CTE range in the not so good, or the hits or misses. I'm still not overly convinced about the whole inverted setup. For me personally, and for my use case, it doesn't work really, because I need access to the ports like frequently. So that is something which can be gotten around, but I don't know. Yeah.
I bet that thing's got more carbs than letters eaten all week.
It probably has. This is carb heavy. I cannot lie. There's carbs. Nice though. Christopher Ackerman says, I'm new PC. No, I'm new PC.
When new PC is going to be, I think it means.
I'm new PC. Will be an i5 13400. Will it be good for 2024? Yeah, sure. It's good stuff. Rick H says, very nice new PC cases.
Davey knocking the water over.
Yeah.
We've got a 2-day record on that at the moment. No, it's not. Still got a 2-day record, aren't you, Davey?
Stuart Cleary says, not more than Ireland. We pay the most for energy. Sorry to hear that. Skystalker says, German energy prices are so expensive due to scrapping their nuclear power stations. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the political outlook is there in Germany. I know. Well, again, from what we're told in the news, Germany's got some strange social economic issues going on internally in the country, and I think because they are kind of one of the core EU members, there's a lot of things which they have to do and have to go along with, which isn't necessarily the best thing for the people of the country, but is for the better of the EU possibly. I don't know. It's all very political, and I don't fully understand it, if I'm honest, so I won't go into it too much. Lucky Man says, LianLi fans, amazing. Yep, LianLi fans have been very good this year. I should actually say, the Thermaltake SWAFANs, for me, have been very good, especially the ARGB ones, and also the CT120s and CT140s. Those are surprisingly good, and actually I've got quite a lot of fans here that I could use whatever I want to. And in the case here, I'm still using the CT140s, which came with the case, which is a sign that it's good and nice and quiet and moves a lot of air, because I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't put up with crap fans just because they're what come with the case. I would swap them out. Bob Eastwood, my favourite tech thing this year is the electric bug zapper. It's a great way to zap my wife's bare bum after her shower. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to try that one. Kath would execute me, I think. David Under says SSD and memory price drops, and seeing suckers buying 4090s that die, melt, crack. Yeah, that's been pretty good.
Short video of me doing it to you, though.
Yeah. Old Man Withers says, then the 7500F is probably the best thing this year, along with the Asrock B650 HDV-M2. In terms of inexpensive platforms, yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think I've still got one of those here, actually. I know. Yeah, I would argue this would be the better option, personally. The B650m Pro RS from Asrock. Absolutely cracking board. Like this a lot, I really do. And that is more than likely what this is going to end up in. And I'm going to be doing a little build on that. I've got the Techwear quad case, which is a micro ATX. And that was what I was planning to use in there. But I'm not too sure. I'm still really on the fence with that Techwear quad. It's nice, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think there might be, yeah, the cats love it. There might be something else which I could use for micro ATX, but micro ATX cases are a weird a weird thing. They really are.
Don't chew that box.
But anyway. Paul Lamont says, isn't SWAFAN in Norfolk? I'm not sure. My geography is awful. Aletta says, electric in Ohio isn't all that bad. Plus, I have solar cells on the roof, which cuts my bill in half most months. Yeah, that's cool. If you've got the ability to use solar cells, I think it's really worth doing. Dutch Jan says, just stupid politicians in Germany, Mike. I don't think you got the market on that. I think there's stupid politicians in everywhere. Just, I guess some are more stupid than others. Rick H says, okay, lots of good fans too. LianLi fans are nice but expensive. We're still waiting actually to find out what is going to happen with the SWAFANs from Thermaltake. Let me grab some in a minute, because some of you may not have seen these. I haven't seen them for a while, because they've been up on the shelf. These are the Thermaltake SWAFANs. This is, at the moment, in the middle of a legal battle between Thermaltake, Fantex, I think it is, and LianLi, because of the way that these fans physically connect to each other, which kind of, it shouldn't be really, I don't think, but they did patent it, so that is, I guess that is their thing. So for those of you that haven't seen these before, you probably have done, but I wanted to show them again because they are actually pretty darn cool. So the SWAFAN thing is relatively unique, I think. So you've got the standard stock blades, which are set to exhaust as you would normally have them. But if you need to put them in a place where you want the reverse airflow, then there is a reverse airflow blade set, which just snaps into place. So now you've got the reverse airflow. So you still see the RGB and you don't have to see the ugly back section. Maisie, I've got hairs on my nose. Go away. Sorry. You're hairy, all right? Just chill.
Hurry.
So that is the SWAFAN, but the problem is the way they connect. So for the legal issues, let's see, where's the pins there? So normally that is basically the problem. The fact that they use these pins to transfer the signal RPM data and the RGB data through those pins. So even though they are awesome, very easy to connect, that technology itself is somewhat protected by law from LianLi. Look at the rest of the box. Oh, there. The biggest part of this isn't the way that those transfer through, but it's also down to this part here. So this is where it connects to the actual PC. Now this particular one is better because this connects to a hub, whereas this connects to the fan. So this, oh, wrong way, that locks onto there. So that is it. You've got one cable, go into the control hub or your PC, and then you can daisy chain your fans however you see fit to do so, which is a pretty cool thing to do, reduces wiring and all that kind of stuff. But this technology of transferring the data from here through the fan using these metal contacts is copyrighted. So even though they're magnetic rather than slotting together, there is an issue with the copyright over the way they're interconnected, which I think from LianLi's point of view, as for me being a consumer, I take this as being a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, I quite like LianLi stuff in general. I just don't like the whole politics of them aggressively chasing down companies that are using technology which is for the betterment of all of the PC market. Yes, I get it. It happens and people copy ideas and stuff. But is it really worth taking a company to court over? It's going to cost somebody, somewhere, lots of money. And ultimately, it's going to be probably you or I, which ends up footing the bill for it in terms of increased costs. So, like, LianLi is a pretty big company and very popular. So for all of you out there that like using your LianLi stuff and you've got a real buzz about it, there's a strong chance that if the court rules against them, that all of your LianLi stuff that you like and that you buy and you want to be in that ecosystem is going to cost more money, because if they lose, then there will be a counterclaim from probably Thermaltake and others, which will turn around and say, well, we're counterclaiming now against the losses. So not only are they going to lose the case potentially, but they're also going to incur costs, which they will inevitably pass on to the consumer, as is common in these kinds of cases. And conversely, if LianLi wins the case, then it sets somewhat of a precedent for the rest of the market. So it's going to stifle innovation, because people will be like, well, that's a great idea, but maybe if we do this slightly differently, we can incorporate it into our design. So then people are going to be very cautious about that. So you're still going to get all of the kind of, I hate to say it, but it's true, those kind of Chinese rip-off companies which just copy anything because they can, and they can, because of being based in China, they can get away with it. It's basically kind of going to go after the wrong people. I feel personally that difference in the way that these are, like if you were to put these on the shelf against the LianLi SLs, is it? I'm not sure which ones they are, or the whatever the Lincoln fans are. Yeah, they do the same thing effectively. Like, would you copyright the actual fan blade, the design of a rotational blade to move air? Probably someone has at some point, but to actually copyright the means of connecting more than one device together seems a little bit aggressive. Now, I guess in Lego, I've done a very similar thing to how Lego blocks work, that interlocking connection. I don't know. I really don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens in terms of the actual outcome of that legal battle. Freedom House says, I like universal connections personally. It leads to way more innovation and better pricing. Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree. I think it's going to be one of those things which is going to be a game changer. Whichever way it happens, now that the ball has been rolling, and now it's in the kind of the public mindset, it must be in other companies as well, because when have you seen any new fans come out in the last couple of months? There's been basically nothing. The market is gone very quiet. I think it's also going to be very interesting to see what happens in 2024, especially at CES, where you normally get all of your new stuff coming out. I think the Thermaltake SWAFANs were announced at CES last year, possibly. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that either there's going to be an entire backtrack and there's going to be no innovation for PC fans, or there'll be people deliberately saying, right, okay, we can't do that design, so let's do it slightly differently. But realistically, other than using like magic, how else are you supposed to connect two devices to each other without using some form of interconnect? It's ridiculous. What is Maisie doing? She's licking her fur. Stop grooming. I missed some comments there. Rick says, I have loads of cheap gym RGB fans. Yeah, they're really good. I like cheaper fans. Aletta says, they're nice fan designs. I still won't pay more than $7 for a fan. That is why the SWAFANs are on both sides of the fence on this, the best and worst. They're good because they're really easy to kind of do the daisy chains. They look good. You can control them very easily. But having that slightly proprietary nature and being basically stupidly expensive, like best part of 90 quid for 3 fans on a controller, is kind of nuts. So on the other side of it, I think these are a very good shout. So these are the Thermaltake CT120s. They do a CT120 and 140. Got the 140s in there. really good fans, really cheap, about £11 each, which I don't think is necessarily outrageous for a good quality fan. And also you can daisy chain them as well, but not in the same way. You have to link the cables yourself physically rather than being magnetically. They look nice, they move a lot of air, relatively inexpensive. Very hard to go wrong with these. Either these or the Arctic, I'm trying to think of the model number now. It's been a long time since I've had any Arctic fans. The Arctic P120 ARGB 0dB, I think, is the only other ones which would be very similar. So yeah, those I think definitely deserve to be on the hit list. So they've done really well. The CT120 and CT140 fans, both excellent, I would say. Ones which I would say were somewhat displeasing, Thermaltake are going to hate me for this, is, if I can reach them, these. So Thermaltake's on the list again, but this is for the trash tier. So this is the SWAFAN GT12. Basically it's the same thing as the RGB ones, but a little bit better in terms of noise profile and air moving capabilities, etc. But these don't have any RGB, but yet they're still very expensive for what they actually are. So yeah, the SWAFAN GT12 and the GT14, I think, are basically put themselves into an area where they didn't necessarily need to be. They've still got the swappable blade fans, so I think these come with 3. So there's a static pressure, an airflow, and a reverse. So you get 3 blades with that, but yeah, that is basically 1 fan, 3 blades, which seems rather wasteful to me. And I'm not entirely sold on the whole reversible airflow. It does work, but it does have some pros and cons, and it isn't as good as just turning the fan around. But some people might want to do that, some might not. There we go. What is Maisie doing? She's still grooming.
That's still the same question.
Oh, right, sorry.
You've answered twice.
Freedom House has got a look at Mum's car, BRB. Ugly Bob says, if LianLi invented magnets and discovered why they stuck together, then fair enough, but they didn't. Yeah, I think it's a really, it's kind of common sense that if you take 2 electrical contacts, connect them on one side of a fan and then connect them on the other side, they're going to pass through. It doesn't seem like it's rocket science. How they managed to get the patent for it, I don't know. Well, I shouldn't have started this. This is way too nice, but way too sticky. It's turned into glue. That air fryer is shite, isn't it? That is one of the things of 2023 which should be on the crap list. Air fryers. I hate them.
Sausages and bacon come out alright, according to George.
It's hard to get sausages and bacon wrong, though, isn't it?
But then the washing up is easier with a frying pan.
Oh, I've got it. I have to finish this. It's just annoying me now. Sorry about the noise. It is what it is. Ugly Bob says air fryers are awesome. I think ours must be broken, because everything comes out either cold or shite.
Or overcooked.
Well done, Mabes. Well done. Aletta says I love my air fryer. Yeah, see, everyone says they love it. Now,
what are you cooking in it? What are they cooking?
Yeah, what are you actually cooking in your air fryer? Because I find it like nothing fits in there. It's hard, like.
It's chipped already, where it's just
yeah,
goes in and out.
The coating on ours is chipped off already, so that's basically not a good thing, is it? You don't want that stuff floating around inside you. Ugly Bob says I'll cook everything that fits in there. Bob says I'm both my daughters love their air fryers. I'm a BBQ man myself. Aletta says mostly meats. Dave Anderson says cold or shite, sounds like the ex-wife. Captain White Sarah says just popping in, have a great Christmas all. And you, Hopefully you have a good one, and hopefully the little one's well. Stuart says air fryers are great for certain things but not good for others. I would say, yeah.
Are they easy to clean?
It depends.
Too bad, but they're bulkier than a frying pan.
Yeah, they're bigger than a frying pan just for the one side, and more difficult to control, I think, and hard to get stuff out.
Like for cooking, yeah, and you burn your hands quite a lot.
David says my air fryer does great potato wedges. To be fair, yeah, we did do homemade chips, and they were actually alright, but it would have been easier in the oven. Ugly Bob says I had a lasagna tonight and did that in the oven because it was too big, and it was yummy too.
That's a family size one.
Bob, you're not supposed to have a family size lasagna on your own. But I did a chicken and veg pie in the air fryer the other day, and it was amazeballs.
Actually, those pies weren't too bad.
Yeah, to be fair, we did buy some Tesco's value range, co-op value range beef pies. They actually come out alright, but they were still cold. It seems to just cook the outside and not the middle, which is basically what a microwave used to do.
That's probably not for long enough, but then if you cook it too long, it's too burnt.
Bob says, don't lasagna shame me, Mike. Dave Aiken's on, they're spot on. Barely touch the pan or oven these days. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just being like an idiot with it or something. But you'd think it's it'll be okay. Colin Hilton says I cook steaks, chicken, fish, chips, veg, and baked cakes in mine. So I don't know. I'm sure there must be something wrong with ours, or I'm just doing the wrong settings. Because I find it either just dries things out or crisps it so it's burnt on the outside but cold on the inside. And I thought the whole point was they're supposed to be faster.
But they use more wattage, don't they?
Yeah, bizarrely, if you put on both sides of the air fryer, it actually consumes more electricity than the oven. So it's not actually cheaper. And I don't think it's necessarily faster because you can put more in the oven because you've got 3 racks. I don't know. Blind Bard says, Mum has one. We used to make lots of amazing food. Salmon and steaks come out amazingly. I think it does well for meats. I think that is one thing which I would agree. The meats come out quite good. Alexa says my air fryer is large enough to cook 5-pound steaks. What's that in English money? £5. I'm not too sure what that is. Is it like 5 bags of sugar? I'm not sure. Ugly Bob says, mind you, nearly everything I cook in there is done on air fry, 180 at 20 minutes. See, that's the thing. When we put ours onto air fry, I'm sure it does like 200 degrees.
Oh, but you can change the degrees, can't you? Hello?
Yeah. But that's not air fry mode then. That's what Bob's saying is air fry. Blind Morris says, hey Mike, hope you're doing well tonight. Yeah, not too bad. Good to see you in the chat as well. Thanks for joining us. And happy Christmas and happy New Year. All that stuff. Bob says, 2.5 kilos, Mike. Oh, fuck me, that's a big steak. Sorry for the F-bomb, but that's a big steak. William Bodie says, question, Mike, will you do solar reviews in the future? Well, I don't know. Possibly. Maybe. The thing is with solar does, at the moment, rely somewhat a lot on the sun and the position of the sun. Now, where we live, we get sunshine in the morning in the front of the house, and we get sunshine in the evening at the back of the house.
Well, we used to.
And we have a ridge roof, so it's kind of like that. So if you imagine that's the front, that's the back, so it's like that.
Like a triangle.
So we'd have to have solar panels on one side or the other, realistically, to make it worth. Because midday sun directly above, so then it's going to come over and one of the solar panel sides isn't going to get enough. Arguably, I think if we had them on the back of the house, it would be beneficial because during the lighter months, generally the sun comes up quite early, so it would come over and it would see the majority of the day.
That's only because you're awake at the times it's at
but
the back.
if we put them on the other side, then it'll only get maybe a couple of hours in the morning and then be in shade pretty much most of the day, but it would get the winter sun because it's lower and it kind of hovers around over there and the solar panels will be there. So solar for us here isn't particularly good idea. And
But
also with the chemtrails, or whatever you want to call them, whatever it is that is coming out the back of airplanes, it's mostly kind of greyed out fog,
missed.
which is going to be, I'm assuming, I don't know because I don't own solar, but I would assume that if there is cloud cover, then you don't get such a return on your investment. So if you're living in somewhere like in America, where you're out in the middle of nowhere and you've got pretty clear skies most of the time, I think it's a really good idea. But where we are, I don't think really it's going to be, it's just not enough sun really. Not to get a decent return on the investment. Yes, it will reduce your bills a little. Welly Bob has got solar panels at his home, and he's saying that it's kind of halved his bills, which is an improvement, but we are at the moment at kind of reasonably peak electricity costs. So to halve your bills when it's really expensive electricity is good, but when the electricity prices dip, then obviously if you're only paying half your bill, you're paying half of a considerably less amount, at which point your investment of £15,000-20,000 in solar panels, which may last 10-20 years, are you going to save more than £1,000 a year on your electricity bill when the energy prices resume? It's a big gamble. Yes, it is. It's arguably the greener way of producing electricity if you don't have to recycle the panels, the inverters, the batteries. I don't know. I really don't know. There's a lot of pros and cons on it. I think probably 5 years ago would have been a better time to get into it, when the systems in general were cheaper and electricity prices themselves were cheaper. So you may have actually paid off what they cost earlier. But it's like anything, buying a battery to run your house or solar to run your house, it's not going to last forever. So it's going to be something that you're going to end up replacing. And you have to weigh up that cost of replacing the system with what it's going to cost you and what it's going to save you, which is such a thing which is in flux all the time, because you never know what's going on. If there's some kind of lunatic stuff going on in the world and your energy prices go sky high, then potentially you can make a good saving. If we're in a relatively peaceful time and electricity is cheap and gas is cheap and energy is in abundance, then yes, you're helping the environment, I guess, to some extent. I don't know. Not too sure. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. It's been something which has been on my mind for at least 10-15 years.
2008 when we got the wood burner.
Yeah, 2008 we got the wood burner, and it was either do we go for wood burner or do we go for solar?
Well, no, it was after getting the wood burner.
And it was around that, yeah, it was that sort of time. But we were looking more for solar for actually heating water through the pipes rather than creating electricity. But I guess electricity would also be a byproduct of that as well. Stuart Cleary says there is a big cloud that lives over here, the UK and Ireland. Yeah, it's just because of where we are. We are an island, and you get everything that comes with that. So, especially being in the slightly more northern hemisphere, it's generally cloudy-ish, generally quite wet, damp, foggy, all those kinds of things. We get a couple of weeks where it's quite nice, but
Days.
yeah, days split up.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would actually love to do some solar reviews, but more for things like those rechargeable boxes which you can get, like the Jackeries or whatever they are. I think those are pretty cool. But then again, because of where we are in the UK, it's quite a small country, so the chances of you kind of getting a Jackery box and going out in your SUV, going camping and relying on that for your electricity out in the middle of nowhere is again still quite a remote thing to do, or unlikely thing to do. And even if you do have one, the chances of being able to recharge it whilst you're out and about travelling are diminished anyway because of the lack of sunlight.
Why can't you just use it in your house?
What, the Jackery?
Yeah.
you could do, but it's like having a big bulky battery that you carry around with you. It's a bit pointless, isn't it? For the aggregate cost. And then you've still got to have run a cable out to a solar panel somewhere. It's just not practical, really. It's more for travelling.
It's fun for you to chew through.
Yeah, the cats would chew through it as well, so that would be taking that into account. Stuart says, blame the North Atlantic drift. I just blame everything. I'm sure it's more cloudy now than it ever has been.
It's not even clouds though, it's just...
Smog.
Yeah.
Oh God, it made my screen go funny now.
Manifested smog on your screen.
That says, solar panels can work on cloudy and rainy days, but just not always at their peak performance. That's true. William says, how about a windmill for private use review? A windmill actually would be a lot of, probably be quite useful in the UK. But then again, it's one of those things that, depending where you are, you can't always guarantee to have even a moderate breeze. Like we've had some days recently where it's been really, really cold and we've gone outside and it's like, it's actually really cold, but it doesn't feel cold because there's no breeze. So the air is very still. And the more you live inland or in more built up areas, obviously you're sheltered by your surroundings. So unless you've got like a windmill tower, which potentially you're going to need planning permission for in the UK, is not really going to get a great deal of use out of it. And also windmills have to be regulated as well. So when it gets really windy, they don't blow over or overspin because they burn out the motors.
But you have to massively oil them.
It's not a simple thing, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Mark Berry says a lot of van lifers use Jackery. Yeah, Jackery is one of those brands that they kind of really got into that scene, didn't they? And a lot of YouTubers use it. Jackery is now quite a common name.
What about Blue Yeti, is it?
What, for microphones?
No, I'm getting confused now. There's another one, isn't there? Solar panel one.
Julian Eilert does a lot of YouTube videos on solar. Hayden Trent says, if only us Brits could harness the power of talking about the weather instead of actual weather, we're on to a winner. That's it. Wind turbines kill birds. That is a definite concern, that wind turbines are not the greatest of idea. Well, they are, but it depends where it is. If you've got them in the middle of nowhere...
What do they have?
No idea. Not long, I wouldn't have thought.
They bury them, don't they, when they finish with them?
Anyway, let's get on to talking about tech and things we're looking forward to in 2024. This is a bit too much negativity. So 2024, I want the new AMD APUs, the AM5 ones, which actually look to be really good. So the best AM4 APU that came out was the Ryzen 5700G. Now the new version of that, which is going to be the 8700G, or at least it seems it's going to be, appears to be about double the performance for the APU. So previously in a lot of games you're looking at somewhere between 30 and 50 FPS, whereas the new version appears to be very similar to the the 7040, which is used in a lot of laptops. So we can be looking at somewhere between 80 and 100 FPS for the majority of 1080p games, which I think is going to make a massive difference. And there's been quite a few people who already have seen leaked specs, and they say it is actually going to basically kill off the 1080p graphics card market, which would explain why Nvidia and AMD have kind of ignored the entry-level segment for quite a while, because we were supposed to get the AM5 APUs a lot sooner, but they've just been taking their time over it because obviously the problems that they had with RDNA 3. So I'm definitely looking into that. Rick H says those new 8000 series APUs look pretty amazing, and I'm an Intel guy. Yeah, the new Intel chips have slightly better onboard graphics, but I don't think they're going to be even comparable to the new AMD stuff. The AMD APUs do look absolutely fantastic. So very much looking forward to those next year. Also looking forward to new cases. I'm not too sure what I actually want from a case, but I know at the moment the perfect case for me doesn't really seem to exist. I know kind of what I want it to be, and I kind of want it to be like the Ceres 500, but I don't want it with the front panel and that scoop at the front. And actually, someone said to me, how do I clean? There's a little bit behind there. Actually, I'm going to pull that out. Somebody asked in the comments, and I said, if you join the live stream tonight, I'll try and have a look for you. Let's try to kill this. So they were asking, how do you clean the mesh at the bottom here? And actually, that is a really good point, because I said, well, you just pull it out and it's all connected. But that bit under there actually isn't. But it doesn't appear to be drawing in any air, and it doesn't even seem to be connected to the inside. So I think it is fake. Yeah, there's a bit in there which basically you should clean, but you can't really. Those fans can run so slow because they are 140s. They still move a more than adequate amount of air. Oh, I forgot to do that bit up. I'll tell you something I am actually looking forward to in seeing, well, I think another one of the misses of this year has been the PCI Express Gen 5 connector. I think arguably that has been complete poop and has caused a lot of problems for especially RTX 4090 owners. I think for everybody else, 4080, 4070s, and I think there's some 4060 Ti's which have it as well. I think it's been one of those things which hasn't taken off as quickly as the manufacturers expected or wanted it to. I know ASUS have been pushing it quite hard. MSI have been, because they are Nvidia's new kind of buddy boys. Other brands, not so much. Obviously, AMD are going their own way with connectivity. I like the idea of the PCI Express 16-pin connector, but I just don't think it's been implemented particularly well. Skystalker says, does anybody know if the 8700G is PCIe 4 or PCIe 5? That is the point. At the moment, we don't really know. I'm going to be sticking my neck out and saying that I think it's going to be PCIe 4. Potentially, it might have less lanes as well, like the previous G series did as well. But I don't know. Rick H says, I also really like the fractal design torrent cases. Yeah, I must try one of those at some point. I've kind of fallen out of love with fractal design in terms of a brand and their design and the whole ethic. I think it's more so because I don't like getting involved or getting on board with things that everybody else seems to be doing. And when the fractal torrent came out, everyone was raving about it, and I actually thought to myself, I don't know. I really don't see what all this is about. Yes, it's an interesting new design, but it doesn't really help anything. It's got some very weird layout choices inside, such as the top-mounted power supply and things like that, which is something which we've tried to get away from for a long time. I know there's other versions which don't. So, yeah, I don't know. Fractal have been, yeah, very much on the periphery of what I've been looking at personally. Colin wants a £2,000 PC upgrade. There you go, that's going for it, that is. £2,000 PC upgrade these days, that sounds like absolute heaven, but you can run out of that money very quickly with that. Like, if you're going for if you're thinking a £2,000 upgrade, a couple of years ago, you'd have had the best of everything. Whereas now, £2,000 would get you, just about get you the best graphics card. You might be able to squeeze in the money for the power supply to run it. You probably wouldn't get a motherboard and processor in that money either. It's mad. William Bodie says, where's Uggs? He is about. He's been in. Cloaked UFOs kill lots of birds too. I bet they do. The bastards. That's horrible of them. They should decloak so the birds can see them. Ah, that's what I was going to do. Membership gifting. Right, we have the option of gifting. All right, let's see if I can do that. Apparently they've given us free memberships to give away. So we can actually give out memberships to people in the chat. So I'm going to try this, see if it works. So if I do gift 5 now, is it going to ask me who? Oh, it just does it to random people. I thought I had some control over it, but apparently I don't. So Jay Gordon has been gifted a membership. So is Joe G, Matthew Day, Dim and Texel. All of you have been gifted a free membership. That lasts for a month. No charge to you whatsoever, but you are a channel member now. So you'll get early access to videos. And also, what is the other perk? Don't think there's many other perks, but you get early access to videos anyway. Oh, and I think you can do super chat stickers now, possibly. Colin Hilton says that was my starting point, not my final one. Okay. Sky Stalker says that Colin Hilton, I want that 2,000 quid system upgrade too. There you go. This, I think I can do more of those giveaways from a membership. So let's try it again. Let's do some membership gifting. See if it will let me do it. Right, do you want to do it?
What, on that heart?
No, on the, let me,
show your support.
On the dollar sign. You've got the option at the bottom.
Unlock members only perks, membership gifting.
Membership gifting, that's the one. I don't know why we've got 10 to give away, I don't know.
We've got 5 more to give away this month.
Yeah, so do you want to do it? Yeah, go on, Kath's going to do it now. So get ready if you're in the chat. You may now get gifted memberships. There you go. So Ordinary Dude was gifted a membership. Hayden Trent is also gifted a membership. The Freedom House 1984. Peter S. and Inky 1919. Hayden Trent says, oh, I got one. You certainly did. So yeah, those are completely free. You've got either 28... Stuart Cleary says, why is my likes showing only 2 for Mike? You might have to press refresh to show the likes.
Mine only says 2.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe maybe it's only 2 people. Without it, not too sure. So that is done. So there we go. There's some free memberships, 10 memberships given out. So yeah, you get, I think it's 28 days or 30 days to watch the Mike's Unboxing content. So you now got access to the, I won't say paywall because it's not really a paywall, but yeah, you basically get content earlier. You can use some of the emoticons in chat as well, should you wish to. And of course, the other thing is you get VIP level tier on the Discord as well. So if you're in the Discord, let me know that you're in there and your username, and you'll be upgraded to the VIP level. I forgot about that. You don't really get much more from that, but you're basically a VIP. So there you go. Enjoy, those of you that wish to enjoy it. That's actually quite a good time, because at Christmas there's maybe not a lot to do, bored. You can pick up on some videos which have not been released as of yet. So that is it for that. I'm glad I remembered that. Kath was supposed to remind me, but she didn't.
I was waiting.
Rubbish. Waiting? What, waiting for a better time? Okay, now what was the other things I had in my thing? Let me do, where's edit video? In the stream thing. Oh, I can't see the full screen there. There we go. Edit. So what was else in my list? So
wiggling around. Davy Jones.
Ceres case, we mentioned that. The Lexar RAM, we mentioned that. The Asrock board, mentioned that. The Ryzen 7500F. Now the Ryzen 5 7500F is a great bargain potentially, but It does seem now, if you're buying from a retailer, you're going to be paying roughly the same as a 7600. So for the sake of the extra 100 megahertz, the included fan, and also the onboard graphics, which are pants but useful for diagnostic purposes, you probably are actually better off going with the 7600 now. You can pick up a 7600 generally for in the region of about £170, as I said earlier. Whereas the 7500F you can pick up for about 140 to 160 from various Chinese wholesalers and retailers like AliExpress. But then you have the whole thing of, is it going to turn up? Is it going to work? If I get a problem, what do I do? For some people, it's probably worth paying the extra. But I guess that's going to be down to the individual. But I certainly think that the 7600 non-X SKU is worth a look. Other highlights of this year, which I didn't mention, the LianLi 216. That is one of those cases actually which I really did enjoy this year. There's a couple of small quirks about it which are slightly annoying, and that is the access to the vertical GPU mount is really fussy, but then if you're only doing it once, it makes no real difference. But the LianLi 216, again, is one of those few cases where it has actually stayed under there, and I have kept using it since we got it. Whereas I've got a choice of a reasonable amount of cases, review cases and ones that I could buy myself, and I have stuck with that. So I think that says a lot about it. I think the LianLi 215 and the 216 are both really good area prices. They've both worked really well. Hard to complain about either one of them really, although prices have fluctuated significantly during their time.
Oh, that's yours.
Missed opportunities. I think another one's going to be the Intel 14th generation processors, which are, as they quite openly admitted, they are a refresh of the 13th gen, which 13th gen wasn't terrible. I've actually quite enjoyed using 13th gen in general, but I think 14th gen should have been a little bit better than what it was. I'm hoping there'll be another 14th gen refresh, which there should be. I don't think they're quite ready for the was it Meteor Lake or whatever kind of thing what is next, but I don't think the 15th gen is quite ready yet, so we might still see a refresh of the 14th gen, even though they've not really that long come out, but they were quite underwhelming. And I think Intel, they have to either drop the prices significantly, or they have to bring out something which is incredible and uses significantly less energy, because that is somewhat of a problem. David Under says there's a release there from AMD saying these will be the first APU family from the new AM5 socket that support the latest features such as DDR5 and PCIe 5.0. There we go. Thank you for that, David. Ordinary Dude says, thanks Mike and Kath, I'll enjoy the membership while I'm off over the holidays. No worries. Yeah, I thought we could choose them, but it seems that it just does it to random people, so that's well, that's worked out cool. Thanos is in the house and says, hey Mike, I wish you a Merry Christmas with health and happiness to you and your family in 2023. 2023 was an awesome year for your channel and to us all. Wish you the best for 2024. Thank you very much. Very kind of you to say. David Endrill says the 7600X is only $20 more than the 7500F here in Australia. And like $20 in Australia isn't a lot. That's kind of like fish and chip money, I think. David Underhill, if you went to the local chip shop, if they have such a thing in Australia, I'm sure they must do, but if you went to get in a big piece of cod in batter with a side order of chips or fries, as it may be, what would that cost in Australian dollars? I'm guessing it's got to be about $20.
What, one piece?
Yeah. Well, you think in the UK it's like £11, isn't it? £12 for cod and chips. I think it is.
Might well be. I don't have chips, do I?
Yeah. David Aiken says, I can see my old card. There he is. The old Mike's unboxing card. actually, for those of you that haven't seen it, I will show you this so you can see it up close. Oh, bloody thing's in the way. Sorry. Let me remedy that. There we go. So there's some things on there which were reminiscent of the era that the card was made. So we've got the Q-links on there, got some fans, got some chairs, got CAFs on there in the middle and me. And also the AirPods, which we used to do reviews of. And Poe as well, which was Seam at Night's catchphrase. There's the Mud boxer shorts. The Scorpion from the Imhotep, releasing the Scorpions in the desert. Carlsberg, which used to be a thing. ARGB RAM. Error 41 or 43. The air fryer. No, that's a projector. Oh, there's the air fryer.
Yeah.
The InWin B1. The graphics card there as well. Good times. So on the back. To Mike and Kath, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you for keeping us entertained throughout this weird old year. You both work extremely hard and deserve all success for 2021. See you in the very next video. Special thanks from D. Aiken, Seam Knight, Sky Stalker, Glenn ALZ81, Rob, Akia Shadow, Ghost Adder, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Tactical Neep, Ugly Bob, O'Reilly SLP, ClickTech Kev, Mark MCE87, and Billy K 2018, and everyone else who follows Mike's Unboxing. Very cool. 2018. No, 2021, sorry.
That's 2020.
I keep this card, actually. It stays behind there all the time. And
2020, that is, because it says success in 21.
yeah, and I quite often keep an eye on that, and every now and then I get it out and have a look at it and just think, oh, yeah, that was pretty cool. It's about the only Christmas card I've ever kept, I think. Rick H says 11th gen Intel wasn't very good either. They've basically they've not been great, Intel, recently. I genuinely love using the 13500, which I bought initially when that came out, and the 13900K, which was very, very kindly given to us from MSI for testing with, it's been great, and I've been using it on my PC. The idle temps on it and idle wattage is awesome. It just idles so efficiently, it's ridiculous. But when it kicks into the high gear, that's when the energy bills start going, woo! And you can see the bloke down at Swalek going, yes, here we go. We're going to get our Christmas bonus because Mike's running some benchmarks. Anyway, let's move on. Colin says, I'm only upgrading the CPU, motherboard, PSU, and 2 M.2 NVMe drives. Yeah, actually that should be quite easy to do for £2,000. CPU, motherboard, PSU, yeah, easy. Yeah, graphics card is going to be the most cost-effective one, so you could go for a 14900K, absolute kick-ass motherboard and RAM, and 2 NVMe drives, PSU, yeah, £2,000, you could do that easy. Taking the graphics card out of the situation makes it much easier. Hayden Trent says it's about £8.20 here for cod and chips. Not too bad, not too bad. William Bodie says Carlsberg. Yeah. It's been a while.
Anyway, Dad.
And there we go. David Underhill says cod, fish and chips cost about $15 to $20. The fish is most likely shark stroke sea bass. So yeah. So the difference in the price of the 7500F to the 7600 is basically sea bass and chips. Colin says fish and chips from here costs $7.95. Kath, you have to have a look on the Good Fridays, see what their price is.
Yeah, got a website, have they?
Yeah.
What, actual website?
Yeah. Their actual own website.
But then I can't come off that page, really.
Oh, sorry.
Because you've changed it, so my window's all stuck and then I'm out of date.
The Sky Structure is awesome. How long ago was that again? 2020, going into 2021. So 4 years ago, well 3 years ago. Thanos says my addition for my PC is a 2TB SSD to install all my favourite games. Yeah, SSD prices are getting a little bit higher recently, I've noticed, which is not great, but everyone's noticed the Poe on there. David Aiken says the 14100 coming soon, a whopping 200 megahertz boost clock with a price increase. Yeah, good old Intel. Bless them. Rick H says, I like all Intel CPUs, including the Celerons. I think they've all got their place, for sure. Stuart Cleary says the 14700 was good. Yeah, I think the 14700 was a good shout, actually. Freedom House says the 14100 was supposed to be a 6-core processor, so depending on the price, it might be alright. Yeah, I wonder what the configuration is. Is it going to be 6 P cores, performance cores, with hyper-threading, so 12 cores in total? Or is it going to be 4 performance cores hyper-threaded plus 2 hyper-threaded efficiency cores? I'm not too sure.
Cold standard £6 and chips are £260.
Alright, so what's that? 9 quid? £8.60. Alright, £8.60 here for COD and chips from local place.
That's not a jumbo.
No. Whaling chips. Stuart says the Core i7 14700K is the best value of Intel's refreshed Raptor Lake CPUs, bringing marked improvements at no extra cost. There you go.
That's your favourite.
Me? What's that? Faggot and chips?
Yeah.
Yeah, faggots and chips. Now, technically, it's a very strange thing here in the UK. There is actually a food product which is made of meat and kind of other stuff. And offal and onions and stuff, and it's called faggots. But you can't say that in some places in the wrong context because it's obviously a derogatory term for some specific instances. So you've got to be really careful, but the shop still sells them and you can still buy them. It's a thing. But the world's a crazy place. You've got to be careful what you say. But I do like them. I always get, like, not embarrassed, but I feel conscious ordering them because there could be somebody else around that would be offended by that. Anyway, moving on. Viali says, I like haddock now. Haddock and chips, not bad, not bad. Skystalker says, okay, I could look this up, but I'm too lazy. Is a shark considered a fish? Shark and chips. Shark, I might be wrong, but aren't sharks in the same family as whales? And they're classed as mammals? Or am I thinking of something else? No, sharks are cold-blooded, aren't they? So technically a shark is a fish, isn't it? Yeah. Whales are mammals, sharks are fish. I should have spent more time in school. David Aiken says mub thong. Yeah, that was on there. Glenn says £8 here, Scottish West Coast. In theory, on the west coast of Scotland, you should have cheap fish and chips because there's a lot of fish up that neck of the woods. Or at least traditionally there would have been, I think. David Under says my next PC is going to be a Beast AM5 7800X3D with twin 2TB SSD and 64GB of RAM and an RX 7900 XTX GPU in a LianLi case. That sounds pretty darn good. Mark Berry says, I just treated myself to one of those thick-watt NVMe drives at Amazon. Put it in someone else's postbox. Oh, Amazon put it in someone else's postbox. Yeah, to be honest with you, that thick-watt drive, the 950 Pro, I think it was, actually performed pretty well. Very surprised. Dave Under says, Merry Christmas all. We have a big storm brewing here, so may lose power. Sorry to hear that. Ugly Bob says, plenty of gravy. Yes. Next time you're down this neck of the woods, Bob, we'll have to do that. Go to the local chippy and get you faggots and chips. You'll love it. You won't be able to walk after. Not for that reason, but because it's filling. Colin Hilton says, are we going for the MSI NVIDIA 4080 Super, depending on the price? Yeah, I think the 4070 Super or the 4080 Super are going to be hopefully good cards. There is kind of rumblings that they're going to be somewhere between 5 to 10% faster, which they don't really need to be because they're still beating the competition in a lot of aspects. So game dependent, obviously. Skystalker says, okay, I looked it up. Bing AI says the shark is a fish, but it could be hallucinating. You never know. Skystalker says, David Underhill says to Skystalker, small sharks are harvested for fish and chips. Interesting. David Aitken, flop of 2023, eBuyer stroke MSI returns. Yeah, I can feel that one. I can really feel that one. That hurts. Bob says a shark is indeed a fish. Dutch Jan says, no, Mike, a shark is a fish. Shark or fish. Bing said so.
Shark.
Whales breathe air. Okay.
Have you not eaten shark?
I think I did come around. No, I don't think I have. Right, David Andrew says stuff there about sharks, but there's big words, so I'm not even going to attempt that. Hi, Tumbril. How you doing? Sorry, reading David Underhill's statement there. Bob, I'm with you there. They're great. See, I don't even like saying it now. Sky says the ThickWatt M2 drives work very well, cheap and pretty fast. Yeah, I was really pleased with them actually. Colin Hilton says a shark over here is a moneylender. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how there's lots of words that have ulterior meanings. Very much like the aforementioned meat-based ball thing that goes with chips. Ugly Bob says, I promise to take you, the two of you and Dave and Aaron out next time I'm down. What? Take them out? It's a bit blatant, isn't it? I thought you liked us. Ordinary Dude says, I got 40 pounds of fresh Gulf shrimp today. Now we have to get it bagged and frozen. Fun evening. Ugly Bob says, Amazon warehouse is going to be a popular place in about a week. Oh my lord, yeah. Especially when the, well, there's going to be all the Christmas stuff which people didn't want, which is going to get returned. So there's going to be a massive sale. Probably, I would say, late January, possibly early February. There'll be a big Amazon warehouse sale on. That is very often happens. Yeah. And if the NVIDIA cards come out at decent prices, I think it's going to be even more so. I am tempted just to order a 7800 XT just to see me through for a couple of weeks until something else comes out, and I'll just send it back and buy something else cheaper. Or buy the same one. Actually send mine back, then buy mine back again, cheaper, a week later when it's reduced. That's bad karma though, so yeah, I don't really want to do that. Skystalker, what does a shark taste like? That's a good question. What does a shark actually taste like? What texture is the meat? I'm guessing it's going to be very similar to tuna in terms of the consistency. But I've never tried it, so I don't know. Dev42, how you doing? Says, how good is a dual CPU fan? I'm not entirely sure what it is you're asking there. So you might want to clarify the question a little bit. But in general, if you look at a CPU tower cooler, such as a traditional 120mm, very similar to what we've got going on in the background here, which is the Noctua NHU 12U or S12S, whatever it is. Having a fan on the front, great. Having a fan on the back, similar. Having a fan on the front and back, generally, depending on which way the wind's blowing, sometimes you can get a difference of maybe 1 to 3 degrees for adding the extra fan. So in general, adding an additional fan doesn't really pay dividends for that smaller amount of temperature. But if you're buying one, right, yeah, so I mean it's a CPU fan with fans. Yeah, having it on both sides, if you've got the option to buy one with just one on one side, against buying one with one on both sides and it's the same price, then buy the one with two, because it is very slightly better.
It's very slightly.
Very fractionally better, I should have said. So there's a very small difference. If the price is the same, go for it. It makes no difference really. You might find better temperatures, but yeah, it's not like a night and day thing. At least for all the ones I've ever tested, it isn't. Like a prime example would be something like the Arctic Freezer 34 Esports Duo. Is there a 30, 32 and a 33? I can't remember the model numbers now. But yeah, whatever they were, literally if you added the extra fan on, you changed about 2 or 3 degrees at best. So it wasn't much of a difference. Also, it's going to depend on the case as well, the case characteristics. If you've got a good airflow case, it makes less difference. If you've got a poor airflow setup, the extra fan on the back exhausting out in the direction of your system's exhaust fan anyway is going to be helpful. Hopefully that answers your question. Inspector X, hi my man, how you doing? What do you think? 500 euros, 7900 X3D for gaming and creation? I honestly don't know. I really don't know. For gaming, I don't think you can go too far wrong with any processor these days, really. There is going to be a fractional improvement with the 7800 X3D because of the lower latency, and also higher clock speeds as well. But if you're doing creation as well, then the extra cores on the 7900 X3D are going to be useful. I would probably question whether or not you need the X3D variant. You could probably save some money and go for the non-X3D version and probably get a very similar result and save a considerable amount of money, and then you could maybe put that money towards your graphics card, which for gaming and for creation will potentially be more helpful. But yeah, I think that's probably about the best advice I can give you. I've not tried it myself, the 7900 X3D. I was tempted with the 7900X and having an AM5 rig for video editing and moving away from the Intel one because of the amount of energy it consumes. But Intel does seem to be really good for video editing, so it's a very tough call. I should just cut my losses and just buy an Apple Mac or a Mac Mini, which I've been threatening to do for a long time. Just get a Mac Mini and just do my video editing on there, and then I can put whatever I want on my PC and it doesn't make any difference. But anyway, hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Salmon and chips.
Said that like blankety blank.
Blankety blank, blankety blank.
Salmon and chips.
Salmon and chips. Oh dear, brain's gone.
You should hear it.
Dev42, one last question. What is the best graphics card, AMD or Nvidia? Dev42, you should not ask that question because it's way too open-ended. Saying which graphics card is best, AMD or Nvidia, is like saying in the UK which political party is better, Tories or Conservative. Tories or Labour. It basically, it depends who you are, what you're doing, and where you're doing it. And AMD have traditionally been better for the sort of slightly lower end segment and the more cost-effective stuff. So if you're going to liken AMD and Nvidia to a political party, AMD would 100% be Labour and Nvidia would definitely be Conservative here in the UK. For the same sort of reasons that labour traditionally has been for the working man, so value for money, all that kind of stuff, and being quite fair. Whereas Nvidia would be more the conservative one, so aiming towards business and high rollers, and really not caring a great deal about the lower classes, which actually does sum them up really well. I'm surprised I haven't noticed that analogy before. That is actually kind of perfect. So yeah. And actually, ironically, AMD and Labour are both red in terms of their kind of their chosen colours. So yeah, Team Red, it kind of makes sense. That's actually quite good. But yeah, which one is better is arguable. If you're running a business, or you're doing video creation, or you're using Adobe Premiere, then Nvidia has the upper hand no matter what. So if time is money, then you kind of have to go with Nvidia to some extent. AMD will arguably give you better value for money and similar performance at a similar tier level for the majority of cases. You will lose out in some specific areas, like video editing is going to be slightly better on Nvidia, and also some games are going to lose out as well, but it's swings and roundabouts. If you're into Fortnite's your bag. Nvidia cards do perform significantly better. If ray tracing is your thing as well, then Nvidia is going to do slightly better. If you're into just pure rasterization and you're mostly playing games which are developed or supported by AMD directly, then clearly that is probably the way to go. And if you're using something like Resolve for your video editing rather than Adobe Premiere, then AMD is going to be a pretty strong competitor. Hopefully that answers your question, but there isn't really the best graphics card is the 4090 from Nvidia. Hands down, it's a clear-cut win, but it's extremely expensive. Hardly anyone can get one. But yeah, if that is the simple answer you want, that is the best graphics card. If you're not looking at things like price or anything else, just raw performance. William Bodie says, Dev42, you forgot Intel GPUs. Yeah. Viali, stop swearing, Mike. James Messinia says, but Mac OS sucks so bad for me. I've not tried it for a long time, a long time. I think the last time I used it in any great depth would have been about 7 years ago when I was at the BBC. Every now and then I'd use it. Prior to that, it was probably about 5 years prior to that, making like, what do they call them? Hackintoshes, like on an Intel setup, making a Hackintosh. So I would like to try one. I think I probably will do at some point.
Since 88.
Christ.
88, 89.
Kath last used a Mac the last time that Steve Jobs was still the owner of Apple. David Aiken says, I would like to see more companies try the Corsair Shift style PSU in 2024. The thing is, they won't now. Because of the whole legal thing going on with LianLi and Thermaltake and all that, if anybody does the Corsair Shift style PSU connections now on the backside, immediately there's going to be a lawsuit. Now, I don't think Corsair are necessarily as litigious as LianLi are traditionally known for, I believe. But maybe they would if someone come out with that same design. I don't know. You'd think that a lot of people, if they did that, like the Shift design, or any design, if somebody copies your design, it can be a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, it means that you've developed or done something which is good, and people want to copy it or to emulate it. So I don't understand really. I know that in the specific case of the fans, the PC case fan market is the most high value market there is in terms of revenue and also return on investment. So the profit margins are ridiculously high on case fans, like massive. So if someone started eating into your business, then I can understand why that would be a concern, because if you're a company like LianLi, you're spending a lot of money on research and development, production, etc. You're probably making very, very, very little money on your cases and stuff like that. So wherever you can draw in the money to keep the company afloat is obviously very important. So I do understand it. I do understand it, I really do. But I still think it's stifling to the industry. Hi, James. Rick H, what is the cost to play Fortnite? Just your soul. Put a value on your soul. No. Fortnite's free. You can play that completely free online. It's a free game on the Epic Store. So yeah, it doesn't cost you anything. You can, if you want to, you can pay. There's like some sort of tier thing which you can join or have. You can get extra things. Never done it. Don't really see any reason to do it. I think you can buy skins and stuff like that, and just to make your character look better, if you want to. David Aiken says the 7700 XT is a conservative wannabe. Mark Berry says Fortnite is free to play. Yes, it is very free. Stuart Cleary says, is LianLi considered to be the best case brand? I don't know. I think again it's one of those things that what is the best? The best value, the best construction, the best design, the best airflow. There's so many different things which you can kind of, your best might be different from my best. I don't know. William Bodie says, did you read my...
Again. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it, so let me see. I'm scrolling up. How long ago was it? Sorry, William, I didn't see your question. I'm still not actually seeing it now by scrolling up.
No, I couldn't see it. Again.
Stick a Q in front of it. That's what I'm looking out for.
He usually does.
Scrolling back down. Can I see your question? So actually, what's everyone getting for Christmas? What are your plans? What are your dreams? What are your hopes? And we can reflect on this next week and see if you actually got what you thought you were going to get.
3 kittens.
I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get absolutely sweet. Ooh.
3 kittens.
Kath's going to get 3 kittens. We got that.
How many fingers I'm holding?
Yeah, she's got 8 fingers up and she's getting 6 kittens.
Oh, I want to pick up Maisie and... Not Maisie. Poppy and Davy Jones. They're all squished into that box.
James says, I've got my son for the week. Boy, yeah. Good stuff. Say hello to the boy from me. And Kath, obviously.
And the cats.
And the cats. And everyone else. Ugly Bob says, you'll be feeling great after all those vitamins, Mike. David nurses, I usually get depressed.
Oh, vitamins.
Skystalker says, I think I'm getting a lump of coal. Oh well. Dutch Jan says, I get a headache after mother-in-law comes. Colin Hilton's going to get a pair of slippers. Can't beat a pair of slippers. Foxtrot Alpha. Yeah. Paul Lamont says, drink and fed up with turkey. This year we haven't got turkey.
We haven't for about 10 years.
Yeah, I keep on thinking we do, but we never seem to. But I always remember eating turkey, but we don't ever buy one. So I'm not sure what that is.
The last time we had turkey was when we had those like little turkey steak slither things, thin ones,
yeah.
and you burnt them.
I burnt them, they were amazing, yeah. Freedom House says, I'll be getting fat cookies. Good stuff. Has William posted his question again yet? Come on, William, get your act together. Put a Q in front of the question. Speaking of which, I'm going to go and grab Bob's vitamins that he sent over, just so you lot can all chuckle. Oh, echo, 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 echo. Lights on. See, I don't have the lights on in the back room because it costs money, doesn't it? So, as you well know, Bob is somewhat of a funny geezer. So, as a gift, he's sent over these. The AI formulation old vitamins. Prevent or reverse the effects of aging. Maximum strength. And then there's actually a bag in the back, so you can put them in a prescription bag as well. Warning, not for anal use. Good stuff. Red is for sharting. White is for memory loss. Orange is for constipation. Green is for wrinkles. Orange and green, eyesight. White and orange for farting. Possible side effects, increase in libido. So he's slipped in a couple of the old blue pills in there. Bless you, Bob, for the old vitamins.
I still can't see it, William.
There we go.
He's put it in again.
He's put it in again. Right, let me...
I can't see it.
Right, please chat, if you can hear me, please help us out here. Apparently, William Bodie have put in a question. We can't see it, so if you can see it, please retype it in the chat so I can see it and I can potentially answer the question. Paul Lamont, you're absolutely right. No, we don't use that in here. If anything, it would be, hey, G-word. William Bodie says, I did write it 3 times in a row. Well, I can't see it. It's not in here. I've got all the live chat showing. William Bodie. I can't even see William Bodie in there.
I've got the one about the Arc or something, I think.
Yeah, all I've got is, did you read my cue?
I got that one, and then the next one above that, ages above, is Dev 42. You forgot Intel GPUs.
Yeah. Unless it's being blocked.
You did sing It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas.
I'm scrolling through it now.
Do you know Bing Crosby?
Do you know Bing Crosby? Yeah, Kath's going up for it. Can you make Bing sing? Was it before or after that? Rick H, the CPU I have is not bad. The TDP is only 95 watts.
Give up on that one.
Carlsberg since 1874.
Will you ever try out Beam NG Drive now?
Ah, right, okay. William Bodie. So, Beam NG Drive, possibly. Yeah, Beam. The last time I actually got involved with Beam NG in any way, shape or form was when I was repairing a PC ages ago for somebody I worked with at Motor Parts, and his stepson had a PC and he wanted to do it, use it for doing racing simulation, and he had Beam NG installed on it. But that's the closest I've got to it, and that was the kind of the beginning and end. So I never really got involved with that at all. Potentially I might do. I do quite like driving games. I generally tend to go for the more kind of more arcadey versions, but ones which have got semi-realistic or at least feel slightly more realistic physics. So I think that is probably the closest I've got to it. I think driving simulations have got a long way to go until they get to a point where it actually feels like like you're actually driving a car. Like, it's cool that you've got a steering wheel and a gear stick and pedals and all that stuff, but until you get to the point where there is kind of like hydraulic rams in the car, so you can feel like the left-hand side maybe going over the lines of the racetrack, you're going over the edge into the grass or to the sand and that sort of stuff. I think that is probably kind of where I would need to be before I could really get fully immersed into it. And possibly having multiple screens kind of wrapped around, because I find that, I don't know, I'm really fussy when it comes to simulations. I like them to be very accurate. Otherwise I just really struggle to kind of get a sense of speed and motion, which I don't struggle with when I'm driving a car or riding a bike or doing whatever. So I think that is probably why I would not get into simulations, but I'd probably get into like arcadey racers more so.
Go in. I'll just sit in tonight. It's cold.
David says this storm is getting wild here. 9:23 a.m. Storm D. Stormed. Well, hopefully it doesn't do too much damage.
Summer there, isn't it?
William says the game has become very good. I must have to, yeah, Beam NG. I'll probably try it and see what it's like. Kenny D says all the stuff you mentioned about sim racing already exists, but is incredibly expensive. Yeah, I think it's going to be very much like the whole kind of VR thing. I think to make an immersive experience, you'd probably need a VR headset, the steering wheel, the pedals, some kind of force feedback sensors in the like four corners on a plinth or platform of some sort. I think then I could probably get into it more so. I did enjoy things like back in the early, well, mid to late 80s, there was a game called from Sega called Outrun, and it was one of the kind of better 3D racing games. Obviously very arcadey, because it was an arcade machine cabinet, coin op, put money in. But it was a Ferrari that you sat in. So there was two versions. Well, actually there's probably more than two versions, but there's two main versions. One of which was the stand-up version, which had a hydraulically powered steering wheel with force feedback and vibration and all that kind of stuff. That was pretty cool and actually felt quite realistic, bizarrely. Then there was also the sit-in version. So there was like a mock-up of a driver's seat for a Ferrari with the same steering wheel, etc. And you had a gear stick, high and low shift, that sort of thing. And that was actually on hydraulic rams. So it would tilt and turn and go forward and back, left and right and all that kind of stuff. And that was actually very cool because you knew you were playing a game because you could look at this computer screen and you could see a very blocky graphic and it was a game type experience. But because it wasn't realistic, you didn't need to have necessarily the force feedback or the motion to kind of relate what the track was doing, because it gave you a sense of speed because the game was a cartoon effectively. And the force feedback, although limited, was good for the time. Whereas I think when you've got almost photorealistic graphics, you almost need that kind of similar level of feedback to relate to what you're seeing, to get that immersion. Does that make sense? So like if it's a crappy game or poorly done graphics, you can get away with having lesser effects because you associate that with it. Whereas if you have very high quality graphics, you expect to have the same experience that you would in a vehicle to some extent. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well. Maybe I am. Stuart Cleary says, I am chuffed. A future storm is named after me. Stuart. Let's hope it's a good one. Rick H says, I love that game. Paul Lamont says, oh, I remember that game. Mark Berry says, remember that game well. Yeah, Outrun was great. It was an era where 3D was starting to kind of come into its stride. I think it was the Motorola 6800 or 68,000 chip, which ran those coin ops, and they basically use the same chip in a lot of 3D games. So you had Outrun, Hang On, Super Hang On, Space Harrier.
Chase HQ.
Don't think Chase HQ was, because Chase HQ was from Taito. Sega ones. There was quite a few games which ran on that same chip, but it was quite good. I enjoyed it, very much enjoyed it. Kenny D says I played that game. It's in an arcade pub in Leeds. A club in Leeds, sorry. James Miscellaneous says, Ugly Bob, some of the reason I bought a arcade 1-up cabinet was because of the cabinet art. Very cool. Skystalker says, Mike, a lot of sense. Like CG computer faces, the closer they are to reality without being perfect, the stranger it is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're looking at like The Sims, you're playing The Sims, you can see a character's face and they're talking in Somalian as they do, and it kind of you get behind it because it's like, yeah, it's a cartoonish character, they're talking nonsense, it seems believable. Whereas when you get these kind of very close to AI simulations, like where Keanu Reeves in the Matrix Reloaded thing they did for the Unreal Engine 5, you could tell there was something not quite right about it. And even though it looked really good, there was something just not quite right, which confused me, and it's kind of distracting more so. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Viali 100 says, I get sickness from some games, headaches, feeling sick and tired. Sometimes I get really hot and have to lay down. Oh,
I get travel sick from them.
Calf does a bit, yeah. David Underhill says the only 2 games worth playing was Galaga and Asteroids. David says Taito Australia was a company I did contract programming for back in the 80s. Very cool. Sky says they call that the Uncanny Valley, I think. I am not too sure. I would quite like to do some retro gaming streaming, possibly. But I'm not really sure if there's much interest in it. I know I'll predominantly be doing it for my own pleasure. There's some games which I really would like to play again. Outrun would be one of them, for sure. Probably Chase HQ. Maybe some other slightly older ones, like Space Invaders, Galaxian, Donkey Kong, the original, possibly. And maybe some slightly older games again, like from the old Atari 2600, like Pac-Man, Wizard of War, Tank, Pitfall, possibly, Smurf. There's a endless list of potentials there. So I wouldn't mind doing that at some point. Ugly Bob says, love a bit of retro gaming. He would watch that. David says, I custom hacked Z90 and 1600 code to change game parametrics. Cool.
Candy. Waking up now.
William Bodie says, no matter what game Mike plays, he makes it look retro. Oh dear. Zaxxon was one I never really got into. I don't think I ever had a computer which was able to play it very well. I think that was on a ColecoVision.
I got you.
But I never had one of those. I had to use one, someone else, and they didn't like it. Sky says it would be fun to stream a multiplayer game that we were on. That's not a bad idea. A Pong, that'd be quite good. Missile Command, yeah, that was a good one.
DX Ball.
Everything looks retro when you turn the quality down enough. Yeah, DX Ball, that was good, wasn't it? I like that.
It's Candy, she hasn't been on yet.
Vianney says C7C was one of my fave games. What was that? Oh, CNC, got you. You should do a Gauntlet online 4-player game. yeah, Gauntlet. That was good fun, actually, Gauntlet. I quite like that.
Shouldn't upset Maisie. Maisie, the boss of you.
Or Golden Axe. Yeah, or Shinobi. Polo Sordini, how you doing, Polo? Says, Mike, Gigabyte have some DDR5 RAM on their support page, which I cannot find the exact match. Found some with one part number difference. Okay. I'm not too sure what you're trying to do there. You're trying to buy some more RAM to go with your existing RAM you've got in a system, or mixing and matching RAM is always a little bit hard. Sky says, did anyone play a game back in 1981 called Sinstar? Or Sinstar? Spent all my lunch money on that stupid thing. Red Warrior needs food badly. I remember that. And R-Type. R-Type was a game I spent a long time on. And there was Renegade. IK Plus. David Underhill says, look up the Bit90 computer online, ColecoVision stroke Atari computer clone that I did the code stroke manual for the Chinese clone company. Ah, very cool. Play Hero, remember that game? I don't know. I don't remember that. Hero. No. Some other cool games. There's, was it Battlefield? What was... No, 1941, wasn't it? Or 1942, which was the airplane game, and you could press a button, it would flip over. I vaguely remember that.
You after their tails tonight, what noobs?
Excellent stuff.
It's going to be a bitch fight.
Anyway, I think I've exhausted the chat and possibly have whetted your appetite for some potential retro gaming over the Christmas period. Which could be pretty good. David Aiken says, remember our Unreal Tournament night after your retro Saturday stream? God, yeah, Unreal Tournament. Unreal Tournament is a class game. That is great. I do like that. We should do that again actually sometime. That is good fun. And at least with Unreal Tournament, it basically runs on anything. I think you can run it on an iPhone, possibly.
Is he out for the count?
Yeah, Skystalker, Noob, Adder, Akia, me, you. I think that was it. I think there were 6 of us at least. But yeah, that was good fun. Defender, great games. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us on this. Poppy, can you move your head, please? Otherwise I'm going to have to hit you with the old Gitamins. David Enner says, I still have Unreal installed on the PC. Amazing. Sky says to David, you are truly one of the old guard. Great to have your experience here. Yeah, definitely. BLSS version 1 of Mike. Thanks, Poppy. Yeah, I've gone into blur mode. There we go. Autofocus. It's because I turned on animal and human detect. Poppy. It's like CLSS, isn't it? Cat line skip system. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. Hopefully you've had an enjoyable Saturday evening, and we're a few hours closer to Christmas Day. Hopefully, I mean this in all sincerity, hopefully that you get everything that you wish for on Christmas Day. And most of you, wholeheartedly, I think you deserve it. Some of you possibly not so much. There's some bad eggs in here, but mostly you're all pretty decent chaps and chapesses. Thank you all for your super chats. Thank you for all your kindness, all your gifts, donations, etc. that you've sent in. You are all wonderful, wonderful people. We will be doing another stream on New Year's Eve. Or is it New Year's Eve? Is it New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve Eve?
New Year's Eve Eve.
New Year's Eve Eve. Yes, we will be doing a stream on the 30th, which coincidentally is going to be Colin's birthday as well. So we can wish Colin happy birthday and also have a stream. Yeah, we will buy a cake and put it in a candle in it, and we will eat it ourselves here, which will be nice for us. So have a fantastic Christmas. As always, we will be available on the Discord. So again, in all seriousness, we have got a mental health channel in our Discord, and I don't just put it there just for fun or just to tick a box or to kind of, what's the thing they do? I can't think what the word is I'm actually looking for now. When people do stuff just for the reaction, I don't do it for that. It's pure, it is there for a reason, because I've had struggles with mental health myself throughout my life. Through probably once or twice a month, I have my own internal crises. So if you are like that, or you just want someone to come vent, just want someone to talk to, Discord is there for that. If you want to reach out in the mental health thing, if you've got like a real crisis going on, you just really don't know what to do, not so much for PC stuff, but just like mental stuff that we all go through, please do reach out, especially at Christmas time, when we should be thinking about those that are less fortunate and don't have family around. Although arguably those with family around are probably wishing they didn't have family around. But I think you know what I'm saying. For those people that have lost loved ones, partners, family members, or are just unable to see family or just feel isolated, please, please, please don't feel that way. Come and join us on the Discord. You don't even have to say anything. You can just join and just go through the conversations, list them all. If you want to get involved, you can do. We don't have microphone use. You can if you want to. You can turn on your mic and go into a chat room. Entirely up to you, but generally most of the chat is text based, so there's no pressure on if you kind of sound a little bit of a wally on a microphone, which I think we all think we do, but generally we don't. So yeah, if you want to do that, you're more than welcome to. And yeah, please, as always, if you are genuinely struggling, just reach out to someone, especially in this time of year when it's darker, it's wet, it's cold, it's miserable, cash is tight, all that kind of stuff. Please, please, please don't suffer in silence, and don't think that nobody cares, because literally there is going to be somebody out there who does, and it's probably going to be me or one of our very cool Discord members who will be in the chat room, see your message and just reply to you, even just to say hello, acknowledge your existence, which sometimes is the thing which makes all the difference in these really kind of dark days. We've all been there. So with that said, don't be depressed, have fun, enjoy yourselves, make sure you have a great Christmas, reach out to the people that you haven't, because you never know when they're never going to be around. It's make those connections whilst you still can, all that kind of usual stuff. Anyway, I'm wittering on now, I'm probably going to get emotional, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining, thank you all for super chats and your ongoing kindness and support, and we will see you. There's going to be videos all through the week. I think there might not be one on Christmas Day. I think that's the only day there might not be a video release, so don't be pestering us on the Discord saying, where's today's video? I've not seen it, because there might not be one, although Kath thinks she's probably set one up, so we'll see. Maybe there will be. I was going to try and give a gap because I didn't do all the videos this week to try and catch up, but what the hell. We'll release videos anyway. You deserve it, especially the new members as well. So thanks very much. Have a very good time. Don't be depressed. Don't get too drunk and say things you regret on a Discord, Stuart. So, yeah, I'm going to end things there. Thank you all for joining us, and yeah, Merry Christmas to you all. Hopefully you have a fantastic one. And I can't remember even how to end the stream now. It's been so long. Let's see if I can find the right buttons. Oh, actually, I know what I was going to do. Also, as well, I'm going to do it again. So, Discord link, I'm just putting in the chat now. So, if you are someone maybe a little bit shy or something, just join. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Just read through the chat, see what it's all about, and if you feel comfortable enough and you want to maybe get involved, just type in a message. It's very easy, it's free, etc, etc. And also, if you want to spend some money, then you can use the link in the chat for the premium CD keys. You can get yourself premium CD keys. You can get Windows keys, less than £5. You can also get Office keys as well if you want to buy Microsoft Office. It's a one-time install, so you get all the Office apps, Outlook, etc. I think that works out about 14, maybe £15 for the entire suite, which is an infinite license. So as long as they still support it, it'll still work. Very good value for money if you don't regularly reinstall your PC, because I think it is a one-shot deal. You might get a second chance, but generally it's one. But it's still cheaper than the yearly subscription. So anyway, there you go. I'm wittering on way too much now, so I am going to call it a day and try and find the right button to end this stream. There we go. So thanks Oh, I'm in the wrong channel thing now, camera. How long have I been on that? I have no idea what I'm doing. There's Maisie. Say bye, Maisie. That's even on the wrong camera now. It's been a long day, seriously, it has been a long day. So thanks again, see you all in the next one. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you on the other side. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.